Today's guest will kick off the GobSmacked Perth Corporate Rumble number 9 with Mickey Gardner as his opponent. We discuss his incredible journey over the past few years, which has seen him shed over 60 kilograms, and how it has impacted his preparation for his boxing debut. We also somehow once again venture into old school WWE, music, movies and nicknames. So please welcome James "The Juice" Wells.
Yep.
So any questions before we kick off?
I don't think so. I'll take a moment just to take it all in.
I know, it's so much shit. And you know what? Most of it I've packed away and put up there. That's a scary thing.
Oh,
That's our belt.
I'm just looking around because I might have something for you. And I'm wondering where maybe it's going to go.
Really?
Maybe.
You know you guys don't have to bring in anything.
I know, but it's when the precedent's been set, mate. It's only I think it's a good thing to
My
do.
stuff there.
So I like this. When I was listening to Hood Pope,
He's so good.
I was
isn't he?
only on Spotify at that point, so I didn't get to see the visual
have a look through
of the
that.
stickers.
They're awesome. My kids want them, and I go, nah, they're mine.
I love this idea of taking the styling of recognisable.
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time in craft beer.
Really?
Branding of craft beers, yeah, it's huge. So someone will come up with like a clever name that's along the lines of, you know,
Krispy Kreme.
for example,
Yeah.
and completely rip off the logo, but, you know, they'll change the wording ever so slightly. It's like a huge...
If it's a
huge
business, though,
trend.
isn't there copyright issues?
Well, that is why my favourite brew, they had changed the
Tell me your
artwork on the
favourite brew.
can.
Who was that? What's your favourite brew?
Feral Biggie Juice. And they actually had Notorious on the can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
there's
that
no
was
way.
less like that. They just had... And it was back when they were printing paper labels and just sticking them onto
Yeah.
the plain cans. And then they got like a, you know, basically stopped doing that. Cease and desist kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so now they've got the artwork that they've got, which is there's a local dude who does heaps of their stuff. Pesh, So Fresh Pesh. And if you see, basically it's a picture of a pig or like a warthog.
Yeah.
But he's got like the crown on and stuff still. Pretty
Oh,
sure.
really?
And,
So it's just like a version of Biggie.
well, I'm not saying that.
Oh, no, of course, it's not 10% different. There's no longer copyright.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, I've noticed it with music because I'm going through trying to, with all the walkouts and everything, just trying to sort out all the copyright issues so we can put them up on the social media. And some of these American bands are perfectly fine. Like, yep, no dramas, no dramas. They're happy to use it. We credit them in the comments, in the description. Everyone's happy. Surprisingly, this is not all of them, but the Australian artists are the hardest to get them to give you the all clear. They're like, no,
Wow.
no, AC/DC, no. I know they're aligned with, like, I think it's Disney now, but a lot of the Australian artists don't want a bar of it. I'm like, guys, that's just how things are
I'd
going
want my
now.
stuff out there any chance I could get.
And I understand that they got to be careful what their music's associated with. That's fine, but with this, who could possibly have a problem with like a fundraising boxing event?
Yeah, I don't know.
Madness.
If I was an artist and someone said, you know, there's a boxer, regardless of whether it was ammo boxing or high level pro stuff, or something like this, where it's kind of a bit of both. You know, it's got the production of high level pro boxing.
Oh, yeah.
But we're a bunch of nobodies.
Oh, you're not nobody, mate. Not the Juice, not James the Juice Wells.
The juice.
I've got this, so I don't forget it. I did this. Have you? So I was going to go, James.
Let's go.
These buttons. Or I got this one.
Nice.
Oh, how good's that?
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
Put those in today.
That's
Welcome.
good. That's good. There's I think it's on. Don't quote me on this because I'm not big on the rapping music. All right, but I do like. I dabble in a little bit of stuff. You know, like a couple of the Eminem albums hit nicely for me.
Yeah.
And then there's some like old school stuff. You know, that makes it on the playlist. But there is actually a song. Pretty sure it's called
Hit me
The
with this
Juice.
song.
I think it's on the Kamikaze album. It's a Eminem featuring. I can't remember his name at the moment. I'm embarrassed about that. But
Okay, so what did you think it was called? The Juice by...
it's definitely like there's a bit in the lyric in the chorus that says like "Give me the juice" and gives like a little Ric Flair, like woo.
Oh, you're talking.
Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
That's
Love it so much.
Oh no, that's from Trent.
That's from Trent. Yeah.
Oh, this I shouldn't have it.
This guy's like, I gotta move. Give me the juice.
Okay, let's have a listen. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I actually almost thought about
Putting in this.
that as a walkout.
You could use. Have you seen this?
No, what is it?
My kids put me onto this. Can you see why our shows go for 3 hours?
100%.
Oh. And none of my kids sing this all.
That's unreal. That makes me think about
Oh, so good.
we were talking about it at work the other day. There's some like old ads that just stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Some are so inappropriate now when you look back. Yeah.
Yeah. There's all that Channel 9 community service ads, vitamins and minerals, dingalings.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, and that's why they're called dingalings. Yeah.
Dingalings do stupid things.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that guy comes off the slide or something and drives his mate into the ground.
Yeah.
He goes up the slide.
The cartoons are the best, eh? I used to know
he's there and his eyes are rolling around.
His eyes are rolling around.
That's right.
They're all on YouTube, man. Yep. Vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals will help you on your way. They're in vegetables, dairy foods, meat and fruit. Just ask your mum today. I'm vitamin A. I'll help you see. I'll help you grow. Germs don't like me. Vitamin B. When you're feeling low, got no energy, look for our famous fruit.
Called vitamin B. That's so good. I haven't thought of that.
So like I said, they stay with you, right?
I can't remember half the things I... Look at the eyes. He drives this kid into the ground.
Classic Ginger, right? Red-headed cousin who was a bit of a dingling, if you're watching, Rob.
That's probably like my wife. I mean, not my wife, Jesus. My kids.
Cut that out. Yeah. Is this actually soundproof for him?
So they can't do this anymore.
I'm 100% certain they wouldn't.
Is dingling offensive to someone?
I don't know. I think they should bring him back.
That vitamin A. So there it is. The vitamins.
Yeah, man. And brush your teeth. The teeth brushing one.
How's that? The brush your teeth.
3 up from the vitamins.
Let's have a look at this. Oh, lot of them teeth. Lions chew with them, babies cry a lot. Get their first teeth.
Oh, teeth.
Jesus. That's taking me back. When would that have been around?
Oh, gee, I feel like saying had to be 80s, but at the very latest, very, very early 90s.
How's the animation?
Quality.
So good.
You had to draw that, right?
Oh, it would have been like a flick book.
Everyone's done one of them. Anytime Mum had a post-it note pad or anything, there's always a stick man in the corner doing something stupid.
Just doing a jump or doing a cartwheel or something like that.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
You can see where I started that early. So we're 18 minutes we've been going and we haven't even mentioned the PCR.
What's that?
Did you see what I got, Lance?
Mate.
Have you feel that?
I don't think I should touch it.
That's my one. That's for our tipping belt. Yeah, it's inflatable. I know.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Still.
The sheer weight of this thing. How do I knock the camera? Yeah, feel the weight of that. This is on loan, by the way, so we can't. This is actually going to be presented to someone. Oh, that suits you.
And it's the GobSmacked one, so that's match one.
Is it? Oh, has it got a different title at the top? No, is it GobSmacked Perth Corporate Rumble? They're the major sponsor. GobSmacked.
So this is not the match belt specific to...
Jade, I just want to point out that I'm wearing your shirt again.
Obviously, the whole thing is GobSmacked.
GobSmacked. Quality mouthguards.
Oh, I love mine. I had a garbage one that I was training with so that I could get used to breathing in a mouthguard.
Yeah.
Not knowing that when I got the professionally fitted one...
World of difference. You know what? We had a decent conversation the other day at the gym, and you had the mouth guard in.
Yeah, I forget that I'm wearing it sometimes.
I'm not just saying it, but they're not. Do you remember the big ones? Remember the big ones that used to just, and then these are the top and the bottom, and people could barely breathe through them.
Oh, mate. It was like that you buy it at the chemist, you put it in a cup of boiling water for 10 seconds, mould it, and you've got to suck it to the roof of your mouth. So you have this big sheet of rubber, plastic, whatever it is, going all the way across the roof of your mouth just to get it to like stay in position. And it's better than nothing, right? If you run around. But I wasn't really sparring at that point so much, just wanted to get used to doing all of my training in it.
Yep.
And then when I got the pro one, I mean, it felt, at first, you could feel it was like a good tight fit.
Yeah.
And the way they just tuck in around the back of your front teeth.
Yeah. Just locks them in.
There's none of this extra garbage like going across the roof of your mouth or anything like that. That just
really
hooks in there, just little hooks in behind the teeth, and everything else is, So,
spot on.
So what you see at the front of the mouth guard is most of the mouth guard. There's not.
Oh, it's not all the stuff that's making you gag at the back.
No.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're sensational, mate.
I should know more. I mean, Jade is a spot-on lady, and we do talk about it a bit, but we get sidetracked so quick. Every time I ask about the mouth guards, exactly like we've done today. This is what a conversation with me and Jade's like, is we start on one thing, and within 2 seconds, it's gone off on some tangent.
Tangents are good.
Yeah, so that's them. They're pretty good, aren't they?
They are. I mean, I've seen some actual belts hang out. Do you reckon I should?
Yeah, try it on.
You think that's bad juju to put the belt on before you've won it?
I don't know. Maybe you don't have to, but just all I can say is please don't scratch it, because I got lent that by Glenn, and that's actually going to someone on the night. So I said I want to keep it. He's nah. I said, all right. Yeah.
Let's give it a go. I'll keep the cans on. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if it didn't fit? Like, oh, your waist's too big boy.
Oh, it suits you. It suits you. Look at that. Shouldn't it be... Hang on, which team? Shouldn't it be blue around the outside, not red, because you're blue too?
I think they're all red. I think they all have a red trim. That's a stitch up if ever I saw one.
You're up against Michael the Reaper Gardner. Do you mean, I better chuck this down on that side.
Let's go.
There we go. Oh, look at that. It's got a bit of weight to it.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of belts hanging up in the gym that I'm looking. A couple of them are Dragon Fire. I'm guessing they're probably title belts that the $6 million man's won.
I think he's won them. Yeah.
And there's a APCR belt up there as well. And I don't know who the go-to boxing belt manufacturer is in this country, but they do a bang up job. Like, that's a quality bit of kit.
I think it may be international.
Right.
I believe. I'm not too sure. I think there is someone. That's what we should do. We should give them a shot. Oh, I've got to look it up.
Like, have they got the monopoly on boxing belts production? Boxing and wrestling belts.
Undisputed Belts. This company here, this is probably not who supply them, which I should actually give them a shout out, but these guys do some absolutely outstanding belts. This is the one that I was actually going to look at getting one done instead of going to Toymate or whatever and buying a $12 WWE inflatable belt.
Well, I was going to buy a WWE belt, but like not inflatable, but one that was still an actual vinyl sort of belt.
Metal?
Yeah, I don't think it's metal. I think it's like plated chrome look plastic. But they're about like $50 or $70 or something from Target. I think you can buy them online.
Hang on. Hold your horses.
There we go. That's the kind of gear I'm talking about.
It can only just get around me.
Is that the Intercontinental?
I've got this one.
I think they only had them for kids, though, understandably. And
there's a market. There's an untapped market, isn't there?
I was going to have to go the old belt extension to get it around the
bit of Velcro.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know, but we've been asked to commentate on the evening. We should have a look at this. This is a WWE one. We should get one of these. We can't turn this into a microphone, can we? Maybe get PCR stickers around the outside or something.
I don't see why not.
Oh, yeah,
GobSmacked stickers.
Coming in from the roof. Oh, yeah, GobSmacked.
That's right.
GobSmacked. Like my T-shirt. GobSmacked. Thanks, Jade. Anyway, Jesus, we are losing. We are not good, are we? Staying on top. Are you on a time restriction today?
I blocked out the whole day.
The day. So this is undisputed belts. hang on, they've got championship belts. So they do like all fantasy football.
Yeah, that's neat.
I wonder how much these things cost. I don't know. It's not bad. Oh, hang on. Oh, it's US.
Yeah.
It's a $250.
That's probably from $189.
Oh, yeah. You wait till you start putting
Letters. $10 a letter.
How do engravers charge like $8 a letter? You know when you go to get a pen or a watch or something engraved? You get $8 a letter.
I think that
It's
is
not about
there's some contingency built in there for the time that they have to buy you the replacement pen when they fuck it up.
What happens
It's
there?
a risk, isn't it?
What happens there? If they butcher it?
I've never had engraving butchered, but I would have to imagine that it's ruined once. I mean, once you screw that up, you've ruined it.
It's done. Yeah. That'd be a tough job because there's some people out there that just would never be happy. Imagine getting like a Rolex or something done. Oh, my God. That'd be hard. I'm going to get engravers insurance.
Like there's bad tattoo artists out there, right? You've all seen the tattoo fails, right? So what happens then?
With the cover-ups.
Buy yourself some new skin. That's what to me an engraver's are similar. You know, there's going to be good ones and there's going to be garbage ones.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to
some bad ones.
You go down the middle of the shopping mall to the quickie cobbler.
Yeah.
And ask to get something engraved, and it could be the person's first time.
New engraver.
The guy who normally does it is at lunch.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely something I don't want to get into. No. We're getting into 3D printing at the moment. So you've got that little UFC cage there.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, my son actually bought a bought a 3D printer, and I've done more than he has. So that's pretty good. If you feel that's nice. The bottom comes off. I butchered the bottom one last night. They're not too bad, are they? I know.
That's very neat. And you just I guess you just download the designs.
You can design your own. I just downloaded that one.
We might be getting into, I don't want to say too much, but we might be getting into some 3D printing at work.
Is this at Ozshut?
No. So Ozshut, shout out to them. They're my sponsors.
Let's get on to your sponsors here. Yeah. 38 minutes in. Let's actually talk something about PCR. Your sponsor for this wonderful November 5 event, which is less than 2 weeks away.
It's out of control. We've got one weekend training session left.
Oh, you training at all in that last week?
Yeah. So because I'm Blue, we have the Monday, Wednesday evenings. So we'll do full beans the Saturday, the Sunday, the Monday night, and then Wednesday we'll train, but probably, maybe
nice easy session.
I'm going to guess they'll just dial down on the real hard work in the terms of the sparring and whatnot, and maybe just get in one last good cardio hit out. Yeah. I'm speculating. I don't really know, but I'm going to guess that's probably
I should know. Yeah.
And then then you I guess you can do your own thing between then and the Saturday if you still feel like going and getting on the row or at your own gym or something, or coming down to BoxCon. But they're probably advised to just coast in the last couple of days so you can get really relaxed and energised.
Yeah, I think people do maybe a little bit of cardio, a little bit of stretching. Yeah. I think, and that's probably more to help them sleep because the nerves will start kicking in those last couple of days.
My nerves are already kicked in, man.
I cannot believe truly how quick this has come along. I was sat here, Tim was the first one in, and I remember when I was talking to him, and I don't know, it was 8 weeks away. And it's on top of us so quick.
I remember when I first hit you up and said, I'm down to do one of these. And then I looked at the dates you had available and I was like, October 24th. That felt like such a long way away, and then I was watching. And it's different, like when you get people early, they know a lot less. They've been through less. They're sort of imagining what it's going to be like. And then they don't know who their opponent's going to be. They don't know who the coach is going to be. So they're now doing this now and knowing just about everything other than, who walks away with the belt.
Yeah.
It's gone in the blink of an eye. And I know in a flash it'll be behind us and it'll be a distant memory and we'll only have the videos and the stuff to go on, our memories to go on, but I'm going to try and soak it all up. But yeah, I mean, I get nervous before training. I was talking to the guys about it the other day. I was kind of like having a bit of what's the word? Like not a D&M, but just trying to lean on my teammates for a bit of support because for some reason there's always a lot of like anxious energy. There's nothing particular about the training itself that makes me, makes me nervous, but I guess maybe every time you tick one off, and then once you get in there and you're hitting the bags and you're hitting the pads and you're in the thick of it, I mean, you're good. But for some reason beforehand, I just
nervous.
Yeah, get the willies. So I think maybe that's a good thing.
I think everyone's in the same boat. I just think some people either don't say anything or they cover it up a bit better.
Yeah.
So it must be hard because on one hand you want it to be here like today to almost get rid of all this pressure, but on the other hand, it'd be so nice to almost go through it again, without really enjoy it, without having that little bit of pressure and maybe a touch of anxiety, which I think it would be madness to think that every boxer isn't feeling it.
Oh yeah, especially if you haven't done it before in any capacity. I mean, and I'm just talking about. I know there are people in the group that already train at boxing specific gyms, probably done their fair share of pad work and partner sparring drills and ring sparring. But I'd never done any of it in the lead up to this, other than when I applied and I wasn't even sure if I was getting accepted or not.
Yeah.
I went and started doing a couple of nights a week at a community boxing gym run out of the PCYC in Midland. It's called Wally Bates Memorial Boxing Club, and they're a non-profit club. Everybody there's a volunteer. They take a gold coin. They take $2 off you every night to go and train
They
with them.
still do that?
Yep.
That's awesome. Where is that? Let's give them a shout out.
Yeah, Wally Bates Memorial.
Wally Bates Memorial. Let's have a look where this thing
Yeah,
is.
they're just an unreal group of people that run that place, and that gave me just enough to feel like I knew what it felt like to wrap my hands, hit some pads, get in a bit of interval training and bag sprints and stuff like that, and a little bit of sort of, I would say sparring, but it was mostly, I call it tag sparring, you're not really hitting anyone, you're just trying to, land shots and stuff just to feel what it's like to move around the ring. And but that was it. And in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we're talking 4 weeks prior to this, which is nothing. You get a lot of actual boxers who'll get the first year of training behind them before they even make an amateur debut. So it's a drop in the ocean, really. But I always have a tremendous respect and admiration for boxers. I mean, I'm 40 now. I'm 41 this time next week. And I've never done a combat sport.
Really?
And it's always puzzled me that somebody could look at something like that and go, I like the idea of getting in and doing that. And I've actually found through this process a side of myself that I've never really recognised before, because I'm not a particularly empathetic or compassionate person, at least not at the surface level. But I've realised how uncomfortable it makes me to see someone getting hit in the head.
It is a big thing to be able to hit someone.
Yeah,
I think I'd find it hard unless I had a real personal issue with the person.
Yeah, so the very idea of two people who potentially like and admire one another, and I think tremendous things about Mick Gardner, mate. Like, the guy's just
he's a good man, isn't he? He was in
real
here.
champ. So there's absolutely no animosity or
ill
feeling that's going to motivate going in there and trying to knock lumps out of him. Yeah. So having to do that is going to be it's going to have to be a white line fever thing, like a red mist, get inside the ropes, and once the headgear's on, you can't really see your face all that well anyway, so I might just have to pretend you're someone else, Mick. So yeah, I found that I was watching some UFC 80 yesterday, actually.
280 yesterday.
Sorry, 280. And
what did you think?
Yeah, look, I have a really tough time with UFC because all of the grappling and submission stuff bores me to tears.
It's a bit rough at times.
If someone goes to ground in the first 10 seconds and then the whole rest of the 5 minutes is on the floor, you've lost me. And at the end of the day, I like the striking.
Yeah.
But I think if you said, would you rather watch a really good boxing match or a really good UFC fight, even with the striking, I'd probably still watch boxing.
Okay.
Yeah. some reason, I like the idea that it's just the hands. It's not like a full body thing.
Yeah.
And but I was watching it nonetheless, and you see that the fighters before each round, they're touching them up, and you can just in that brief moment, that mutual exchange of respect, but to then go, yeah, man, I really respect you. Let's touch them up, and then now you're my mortal enemy, and I'm trying to knock lumps out of you. And
just being able to switch between the two.
Yeah, I think that's something that you have to, So the idea of participating in a combat sport in the first place, it's an alien concept to me, and I've never really done anything that's in as much as we're in teams here for training, especially, and on the night I know you're going to have your teammates shouting for you. I've never really done a individual sport or pursuit, and so I guess that's part of what motivated me to do it, is that on the outside I've always admired people who can get in the ring. So when something like PCR happens and people who have, for the most part, not boxed before, who are maybe not even necessarily particularly fit or in any kind of fighting shape, and then you see them get, through training camp, and then they're in the silks, they're in the trunks and the gear.
I did see those silks.
That person did a thing that probably made them really, really uncomfortable for the entire experience. And imagine how accomplished they feel when they come out of the other side of it. And that's really the big draw card for me, was that, how do I know if I can take a punch? I'm not really a scrapper. Never even really got in fights growing up.
Yeah.
Like I said, never pursued a combat sport, never really seen any real trouble or had any reason to raise a hand to anybody for most of my life. So when I look at that and go, could I do that? If it came down to brass tacks, could I hit someone and know that they were trying to hit me back and, beat them at it? Let's find out. Yeah.
It's a big thing, big call. And out of your comfort zone, geez, this must be a massive achievement for all of you guys, because there's some people in the crew, and it happens every year, that maybe aren't the most athletic people, and you can definitely see that a lot of these people don't have that bit of mongrel in them to actually hurt someone. I don't think anyone wants to hurt the other person. Like, I really don't.
Yeah, but you have to act like you want to hurt them, for that 6 minutes of ring time, or that sort of 8 or 10 minutes that you're there in total. You have to, because if you don't, they will, and it's the mutual combatants. You've, hit or be hit, kill or be killed kind of thing.
I think we're sort of on the same page a bit here, where personally it's weird. I'm a big fan of UFC and boxing, but I despise violence. So it's quite weird because I think it's controlled consensual violence is one thing, which I don't have an issue with.
Yep.
As long as the consent is the big thing. Whereas I've never been in a street fight, like out on the piss or anything like that. That's the last thing on my mind. I don't have any reason to ever hit anyone.
No.
And I think that's the main thing I would struggle with. I think I've said it before, is hitting someone that I don't have a genuine problem with. There's a lot of people I'd love to hit, but I wouldn't. I work with a lot. No. But yeah, that's definitely something to overcome.
Yeah, and I know you've spoken about it in a few of these, but the mental game is definitely, like I said, the training for boxing is different to anything else that you'll do. The kind of fitness that's required is different to anything else that you'll experience. But I had a reasonably good lead up in terms of the kind of training that I was doing prior. It's mostly to do with weight training and stuff. But
I did see the photos, mate.
I've always taken a interval or circuit based approach to that in the last couple of years as well. So I giant set and superset all of my movements. I don't just go 10 reps, take a 2-minute break, 10 more reps. I hit 5 exercises non-stop, and then push a sled or do something else until the heart rate's in that aerobic zone, and then and then have my rest. So I felt like my recovery was already reasonably good, and I was paying attention to things like how quickly I could get my heart rate to come down even before we started camp. But then you get in to PCR, and now that we're the stuff that Glenn and Chris have got us doing, at the end of a session when you think you're done.
Yeah.
And, it's like
I did see you guys the other day.
It's a bit of, he's got a bit of Walter White going on there, He's like, we're done when I say we're done. So
you guys were still, when I rocked up the other day, I thought, you guys are finishing up now. And you had about 15 minutes of some of the most intense training I've seen. And that was at the end of your session.
Yeah.
There's some sweaty guys.
Yeah.
You guys are dripping in sweat.
It's lunacy, and being able to push beyond when you think you're cooked and do that little bit more, then that line moves incrementally, to the point where you're capable of twice as much as you once were. And, you have to, I said, I don't think you can ever be fit enough for something like this. 3 twos sounds like nothing, right?
You try to sprint for 6 minutes. You can't do it.
No.
The fitness you need for this boxing is, I think, some of the fittest people in the world are boxers, aren't they?
Oh, they'd have to be. They'd have to be. Other than, defined fitness, right? That's why I have a real issue with the fittest man/woman on earth, CrossFit games, because they can do
the injury games.
They can do these Snap City games. They can do these. They can do all these different disciplines at whatever intervals for X period of time, or as many reps as possible in a fixed time frame, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think fitness is such a broad, sweeping term that, maybe the marathon runner's the fittest person on earth.
Yeah.
Or maybe, a boxer's the fittest person on earth. I don't think you can ever actually put it down to one
type of fitness.
No, I don't think so.
No, you are right.
The kind of fitness that's required for boxing, it's insane. Like I used to get, getting on the skipping rope, that was a cardio workout. Now it's a warm up.
Really?
Yeah.
I've always found that hard. I've always found skipping very hard.
I'm not great at it. For some reason, I have a real problem with the rope length. So all the new ropes, there's a bunch of new ropes in the gym, and people are tying knots in them and stuff, trying to
shorten them.
To shorten them. But if it's too long, it hits the ground too much, and you don't get a good
good swing up.
Yeah, but of course, if it's too short, you'll trip yourself over as well. So I bought one. I bought a speed rope that I knew I could muck around with it to get it dialed in for me. And then
speed ropes, they just hit your shins harder than the normal rope. That's
The box said speed rope. It's just a plastic skipping rope, mate. Pretty sure I got it from insert department store here for about $2. But after a little bit of MacGyvering and modification, it's still in the trick.
Does you well.
Does the trick. So I use that at my own gym in the mornings now. So they've started coincidentally a 6-week Jeff Horn boxing challenge at this franchise gym that I go to.
Okay, which one's that?
Jets Averley.
Okay,
and so Jets Australia have done it. So they've got old Jeff Horn on board, and I haven't participated in them. I'm focused on this. So, and when I'm in there in the mornings, it's usually pretty quiet. So the floor space that's available that they do the group classes and stuff in there, I just usually set up in there with, with the rope and sometimes it'll be skipping, then jump on something else, slam ball, battle rope, do a bit of a circuit, whatever, just to get the juices flowing. If it's a day where I've got PCR in the evening, I try not to go too hard because I'm like a short burst of energy kind of guy. It was if I go too hard in the morning, I'll really struggle later in the day. And I'm no good in the evening as well, and I get home from work and I've trained hard that day. I'm sort of less available, to the family, and just tired, grumpy, usually hungry.
Oh yeah,
want to go to sleep early.
Hungry. Like getting hangry.
Yeah.
So who's your sponsor for this event?
Ozshut.
Ozshut. You got the shirt on, everything.
Absolutely, mate. You gotta
132068.
rock the merch.
Ozshut. I know. I do like it. Do you work for these guys?
No, not at all. I worked for so Jason, who's CEO.
Jace.
Worked for Jace 23 years ago.
He's the CEO for Ozshut.
Yeah.
Jason.
So he had a roller shutter business under another name that his family had built up, and then they opened a branch in Sydney, and he moved over there, and then eventually they sold up, and I went off and did other things in the intervening period. And I think we reconnected on Facebook a few years ago, and Jace's wife Stella worked at the company back then as well. And they live fairly close to me out in the Vines, so we've run into each other a couple of times around the hood. And so we reconnected on Facebook, and then I put something up, and the organisation that I work for weren't able to get involved on this occasion, so I just put something up saying, if I've got any friends that are in business, that I'm doing this thing, it's really cool, check it out. Jace hit me up out of the blue, said I'm interested in getting involved. Send me the info pack at the very least. I'll take a look at it.
Jace.
And total legends. Like it, I put myself on the hook for this thing without a sponsor. Like I know a lot of people.
It's a big call.
Talk about it with their prospective sponsors who may be an employer or a friend that's in business.
Prior to even applying.
And I had kind of made my mind up that I wanted to jump in with both feet regardless.
Yep.
And then I'll worry about hustling to try and get the sponsorship. And, so I was on the hook for the sponsorship, for the entry cost.
Yeah.
As well as, got tables that need to be sold as well. The event's no good if the seats are empty, right? So we're all part of the ticket sales team as well.
Yeah, the Ozshut crew coming to support you.
Yeah, well, that was the best part. It was after
Tell me the best part.
After Jason came back to me and said, "We've had a look at this. We're in 100%. We're down for the sponsorship and the full whack as well. So not splitting it with anyone.
Yeah."
Solitary sponsorship, and we want to buy a row one table.
They've gone all out.
So they have gone all out and all in. So they're going to be ringside, and I'm just so incredibly grateful for that, because ultimately, I mean, without that, I almost literally can't do this.
The sponsors are the people that I've spoken to, and their sponsors, so supportive. And I really hope the sponsors realise that what their contribution actually does for people. So Ozshut do realise what they've done for you here?
I think maybe it might take for the night itself to rock around with myself, and I'm pretty sure no one from the crew there has been to a PCR event before either. So
have you been?
Jason Derek came along to. No, I haven't been to one. I've only seen the footage, and I know that doesn't do it justice from what everyone's been saying. So, Jason Derek came along to the matchups event the other week.
Okay,
and I was able to have a good powwow with them there, and obviously Jason got up on stage and had the photos with us and stuff as well. So, I think when a night actually arrives and they're experiencing it, they'll really sort of see the, understand what it is that's coming out of this. Because obviously there's a value there for their business. There's got to be a perceived value that that when you put your name up in these lights, that it's achieving something other than just to, help somebody out that you might like a little bit.
Yeah, you see where the money's going with the Sabre Foundation.
Yeah.
Sabre Foundation, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, Sabre Rose.
Sabre Rose. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I should have known. So I actually was just looking for a photo. Did you post a photo of you guys at the Leaderville that night?
I don't think I did. I was tagged in something.
No.
I've been having a lot of trouble getting tagged in stuff lately because my Instagram name is not my actual name, and there's been a few. There's the Suit Vault post that they put out the other day and tagged all the team members, and I've seen everybody sharing it, and I'm like, what's this? So I looked on it, and there's some poor random James _ Wells He's been tagged in it by the crew.
So your Instagram's The Real Orson. Is that how you say it?
The Real Orson.
The Real Orson. Where did that come from?
My old cricket coach, Orson Welles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, except that Wells is spelt with an extra E, but nevertheless, when you say it, it sounds the same. So, sporting clubs are good for that, right? Coming up with nicknames for people. And so 2005, 2006, the summer of, we just moved to Ellenbrook. We had a little boy, Aiden, was only junior burger at the time, and great sense of community out there, and it was a much smaller suburb then, but I decided that...
What year was this?
2005.
Was a lot smaller. It's massive now.
Mate,
it is massive. You guys getting that train line out there soon?
I hope not. I don't want it, man. I moved out there because you've got to take a very long, boring and deliberate drive to get to the suburb where I live, which means there's usually a lot less...
Riff-raff?
Well, I mean, there's enough people in the area now that there's definitely riff-raff, but I have theorised that if you live in a suburb that's right at the very end of a train line...
Oh, it's over.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So... if you can't buy a car and drive there, live somewhere else. If you want to live near a train line, buy a house that's already near a train line. That was my thinking. No doubt that when it actually materialises and I'm going to go to the footy one day, I'll probably hop on that train.
Straight into the city. I remember Ellenbrook back in, it would have been about 95. That was the first time I used to work for Ansett, and I used to drop air freight there. Wow. And mate, it was literally just that bit
little
in the
Wood
middle.
Lake pocket.
Yeah, and maybe about 5 or 6 streets.
Yeah.
And one of the I still remember one of the roads I had to drive in wasn't even sealed. It was like all like crushed limestone. I went, geez, we're out in the boondocks here.
Yeah.
And now it is massive.
Oh, and then Garra Road was still a piece of shit up until a couple of years ago. I used to ride my motorcycle on that in the wet, and there was so much of that tar that they smear into the cracks that there was more of that than
road.
And so when it was wet, you were just on ice. Yeah, you were better off in the middle section of the lane where the oil slick that you normally avoid is than you were being on either of those sort of tyre
tracks. A lot
tracks.
of potholes and stuff along there.
Absolute garbage.
Oh, look at it now. Geez, how did we get onto that? What were we talking about?
We were talking about Ozshut.
Ozshut.
Good folks at Ozshut.
Ozshut.
Yeah.
They would do some serious work around Ellenbrook, wouldn't they?
Oh, you would think so. Yeah, that was always a good hunting ground for sales back in the day, and I'm sure it's no different. But the amount of construction, like building that has gone on in Perth in the last, say, 20 years and continues to go on. I mean, there's new houses popping up every...
I was up at the Vines the other day, and that's almost to Bulls. Is it Bullsbrook?
Yeah, it's if you look at it sort of on a satellite image, the Vines has just been sort of enveloped now by the way that Ellenbrook wraps around the back of it. You're out in Annie's Landing, and then there's like some country, call it a B road that just goes nowhere. That basically where that ends, and then you are practically in Bullsbrook effectively at that point.
Because the Vines used to just be around the golf course.
Yeah, and they've got sort of newish parts of that as well now. So it used to be around the golf course. Mostly there was sort of those hobby farm sized acreages or part thereof, acre blocks and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you can drive through now and
it's massive.
It's a rabbit warren.
It's something else. So, oh geez, we are struggling to stay on topic today. An hour 5 already. Jeez, you've got some.
I've got the.
You've got the juice today.
I've got the potions, mate. I've got the magic potions for,
What is in that? What are in those drinks?
It's actually just Diet Cordial.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a really tough time drinking enough proper water.
No, it's overrated water. Cordial.
So a splash of Diet Right, you're still drinking the water, but it just gives it a little something. It's like people squeeze lemon in it, whatever. I just put a splash of that stuff in there. Just
splash, it's fine.
Helps go down a little more smoothly.
How much water would you drink a day?
Oh, jeez. It'd have to be the better part of 4 or 5 litres.
Do you sweat a lot?
Yeah.
I did see that the other day. You were drenched in it.
Yeah. Ordinarily, like just getting around. When I was bigger, I used to be quite sweaty for no apparent reason. Yeah. But less so now. I feel the cold a lot easier than I used to.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't sweat as much. But then when I'm like a human heat pump when I'm exercising,
It's good to go.
Yeah, just get satched. So I think it's good as long as you can put it back in. You know, I know that sweating a lot is not a sign that you had an effective workout, but it's certainly an indicator that you put in the yards. So I'm not usually all that pleased if I don't step out of either of the gyms I'm attending at the moment without a completely sodden.
It does make you
shirt.
feel a bit better, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you've gone a little bit harder.
Yeah. Well, usually the shorts have copped it as well, and they're weighing about 2 kilos. The big fleece shorts are all soaking up all the sweat.
You have dropped an excessive amount of weight. Excessive. I've got some photos here. Let's throw this one up here. How old are you there? I saw, was it 160 kilos?
The better part of, so the first time I weighed myself at my biggest, I had already knocked off a few before I could even stand to get on the scale and look. And that day I was 155. So
Mate, that must be, because how tall are you?
5'9".
The pressure on your knees and hips and ankles must have been excessive.
Yep.
Because just by having a look at some of the old photos here, a lot of it was upper body.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that you carry it. I mean, it's always on you. It goes everywhere. Your body will store fat any way it sees fit.
Yeah.
But obviously for men, most of the time you get it on the gut, the chest, the back. You know, and you see a lot of people walking around, it looks like they've got, they haven't put an ounce of weight on their legs, you know, and it's all just in
all
the torso.
Upper body.
Yeah, so I definitely had some on the legs, but...
Did you used to do powerlifting or something?
So I used to train like a powerlifter / strongman without ever actually competing in either of the disciplines. So my approach to that was I'm fat and strong, so I'm going to pick up this trap bar, do some farmer's carries with 180 kilos on it up and down the length of the sled run at the gym, and then I'm going to go do deadlifts, and then I'm going to do, you know, just work on my strength,
yeah.
You know, because, you know...
How'd you go with injuries?
Not too bad, I suppose. There's a lot of strain on your body, but the idea obviously there is that the muscle is, you know, supporting you there. I wasn't doing a lot of high impact stuff. So like, asked me to go for a run, I'd make it 10 metres up the street and my knees would start to hurt.
So I wasn't going to see you in the CrossFit Games or anything like that?
Absolutely not. I did, I went back to playing gridiron
did see some
while
photos,
ago.
mate.
So that was about when I was 32. I just, out of the blue, I think I'd been watching some NFL and just decided... I did it when I was younger. I played for a team called the Junior Up Gators in the junior days. I was 14. I was playing under 19s then because they only had one junior category.
That's you with the Steelers though, isn't it?
That's me with the Steelers. So
a friend of mine plays for the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know Bryn Nightingale?
Yeah, I know Bryn. Yeah.
Good man, isn't he?
He's, I ran into him at Crown, actually, at the Merrywell.
He's security still?
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I was playing, he was still in the Fireys.
Yeah.
And, Bryn, what a rig, mate. That guy.
He's a good man, isn't he? He's a good man. Very sarcastic as well. So.
Yeah, and he can move. He can move too. So I was playing defensive line there. I was probably 140 kilos that day.
Jeez.
Or that season.
Yeah.
And the aforementioned pressure on the knees and the ankles, like my physio tape bill just for strapping myself every game. By the end of the season, I wasn't even doing contact at training anymore because my body was just so sore from games.
Yeah.
We used to run a 4-man defensive line quite often. A lot of the teams we play would run a 5-man offensive line, so I would find myself
taking
the double team a lot of the time. And it wasn't sustainable. Like at the end of the day, if that's how you want to put it, if I was ever going to go back and play again, I'd need to be playing at a much lighter weight in a different position.
Imagine what some of the professionals, imagine their bodies after they retire.
330 pounds and you can do the 40-yard dash in 4 seconds.
And taking full hits and getting up and just trotting off. Are their bodies made different? They must be.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, again, you talk about strongman, for example, and you just see these absolute human mountains that it's like you must have. They're not bones, they're steel girders. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that you must just have, either you fall apart very rapidly later on in life, and you see it with people from, bodybuilding, wrestling.
Saw Ronnie Coleman, actually a video on him the other day.
He's getting better, but he was in really, really awful shape.
Really bad shape. He couldn't walk at one point, or he was walking with the crutches.
Yeah, I think he's been doing some like stem cell stuff and all sorts of like radical gear to get himself back. And you squat 800 pounds.
Could you imagine your knees? Your knees would be going, what are you doing to me?
Yeah. So that's the whole thing about like the short-term goal superseding the long-term sense of preservation, right?
Yeah.
So you go after this thing that you really want, and to hell with the consequences. I'll worry about it later.
I think that's it. And then you get to a certain age where you go, geez, I just want my body to function normally. I don't have to be jacked with these big arms or anything. I just have to function like a normal human being.
The enormous back, the big cobra lats.
You must be feeling better now that you've dropped this weight.
Yeah, 100%.
Was it your, like, did you just say to yourself, I'm too big, I'm actually going to get in? Because obviously when you did have the extra weight on, you were in shape for a reason. Like some of these strong men, they have to be as big as possible. But
weight moves weight.
Did you want to trim down? Was that the goal?
I've always wanted to. I was always super self-conscious about being overweight. I hated the idea that anytime you want to catch a flight somewhere, you're one of these people that's, using every inch of the seat and maybe a little bit more, spilling out over into someone else's personal space potentially. Buying clothes is really difficult. In the last few years, they've only really just started seeing some like specialised, apart from like king-size menswear was always like Andrew Vlahov and his mates or whatever. And it was always more expensive to buy clothes for bigger guys. Like they've got Johnny Big and all that sort of stuff now, which is an arm of Tarot Cash. So you take all the stuff that's in Tarot Cash and make a bigger version of it, and they sell it in Johnny Big.
It's not the most flattering clothing either. It's a lot of Hawaiian shirts from what I've seen.
There's a bit of floral gear in there. I was able to buy some okay stuff, but I remember the first time that I went into, I think it was just Target, and I needed some pants for work. I'd started this job that I'm in now. It's 4.5 years ago. And I had managed to knock off some weight even then. Yeah. And it was the first time I was able to buy, like, off the rack, you'd call it, in pants, in the regular guys section. It was the biggest size on that rack. It was still a 42 waist, but I was buying from the regular rack.
How'd you feel when you purchased those?
Oh, absolutely.
King.
Yeah, absolutely.
King.
Sensational,
that is a huge effort to drop that much weight. That is people have got to admire that. That is something else, mate. The amount of weight. Because what would you be weighing now? About 90?
No, I'm 99 at the moment.
99?
I've got to fight under 99, so I'm just hovering around 98, 99, trying not to drop, keep the energy up, make sure I'm eating as much as possible without putting on any more weight. Yeah. And then obviously as we come in, I just keep it nicely tuned and make sure that everything's good so that when I step on the scales at weigh-in, I can, be 98.99 or something.
That's what we got to do. But you've lost a third of your body weight. More.
Yeah. It's pretty, it makes me, I confront it and I leave that up there as a reminder of myself, because I don't like to lean on the transformation part of it too much, because I don't want to give too much airtime to the old me in terms of, because I'm embarrassed by it. I'm ashamed by it. I know that my children have grown up with a fat dad. My son's 18 now, my daughter's 14, and we've only got so many years before they fly the coop and are doing their own thing. And, so that whole, there's even a photo of myself when my son would have been, he must have been 2 years old, and I'm holding his hand walking down to a creek just at the park there in Ellenbrook. And I'm huge there, 20 years of my life. I reckon I was big in year 12 in high school. I actually put my old high school leavers jumper on, I think about 12 months ago, when I'd got most of the weight off. Yeah. And it fit me better that day than it did in the photo where I'm wearing it in year 12, in terms of like filling it out in the arms and the shoulders and a little less around the gut. Yeah. I was heavy in year 12, and then just it crept on. And then I had a couple of red hot cracks at, dieting down, and I managed to lose maybe 20 kilos, but I'm still at that point 130, and then for one reason or another, I'd find some excuse to hit pause, and then I'd go back the other way. So, probably when I was joined the cricket team, 2005, 2006, I remember being asked then how much I weighed for whatever reason. and I was 126. So I had been training, with weights in my early 20s with a friend at the time. He'd been bodybuilding for, probably 10, 11 years, and he needed someone to train with. He'd just moved into this house where he'd set up his gym in his garage, and I was working with him. And so he said, come to my place in the mornings, we'll train. I got right into it and put on a lot of good, the right kind of size. Yeah. And I think genetically, I gain muscle. I don't want to say easily. No one really gains it easily, but probably more easily than others. But then I also put on body fat more easily as well.
Okay.
There's genetic predispositions. I have difficulty dropping the weight. So there's me, already kind of overweight. Now I've put on some muscle. So now I'm 125, 126 kilos. I go and start playing cricket. The knees start feeling it, whatnot. And it was only a couple of years after that I had my motorbike accident.
Oh, geez, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, no, it's just those who know me know about it. I crashed a bike, single person accident. No one else was to blame. There were some good Samaritans that came to help. I fractured my coccyx and my sacrum.
Oh, geez.
And
that is painful. The coccyx. We've all sat down on the chair wrong.
It still hurts now, man.
Really?
Yeah. If I go to the movies, for example, I'm shifting positions in my seat a little bit sometimes, sitting on a flight.
What happened to the coccyx? Did it just bruise it or break it?
That's where I landed.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts. Just thinking about it. It's actually making mine hurt. The tailbone. Is there anything
more? There's a little less
more?
padding there as well now. So when they first started getting us doing the different core work, and all right, now let's do some sit-ups with weights, and let's do things, where you're on that hard floor, and you just got to wince through
Still feeling it.
Yeah. So after that happened, probably that's when I had the worst. That was the worst of me after that. The downward spiral that saw me gain more weight, and I was parked up for a little bit. Bike was written off. I had to buy a car to get to work, so I couldn't get back on a bike, and I didn't want to at the time anyway. It scared me straight. For a short period of time, I've got another bike now.
Nice.
But yeah, the weight started creeping on, and I was drinking quite a lot, hitting the Strongbow ciders, so full of sugar.
Strongbow cider. Yeah. Jeez, I didn't realise we were suddenly 17-year-old girls. Okay, keep going.
It was the original though, mate, not the sweet.
Okay, that's fine then. That's manly. Can't get more manly than that.
So I was drinking quite a bit. The weight crept on, and then that's when you get to probably sort of around 2010 by that stage, and probably where I was about at my biggest. And then found the gym a couple of years after that, and then it's been a yo-yo, like a real roller coaster since then. But
do you think you're going to go back? Are you scared of going back?
I can't. I was staring down the barrel of the year that I was set to turn 40. And my wife and I actually went for a massage, just like at a place where you can go and do it in the same room, like a relaxation thing. And I have a tendency, when the massage is too good, I start to nod off.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually had an epiphany. It was like a start of a dream. And then I sort of snapped out of it and went, I have to do this. So I made the decision that day to undergo weight loss surgery.
Oh, the gastric band?
No, the band's not really all that popular anymore. They do something called a sleeve. Sleeve. Yeah, but I actually had the bypass, which is another step further again. So the best way to explain it would be to just Google a rudimentary diagram of what one looks like, but essentially part of your intestine your stomach gets sort of separated into the part that produces digestive juices and the part where your food goes, and this one gets rerouted further down, and your intestine gets connected about 1 metre further along. So essentially what happens is you can eat less, but also there's a malnourishment component as well. So only about 40% of what you eat is actually 40% less of what you eat is actually absorbed by the body in any kind of useful capacity. Now, the downside to that is that, the upside really is that there are now consequences for eating too much of the wrong kind of thing. So old me would go, bag of Skittles, there's probably 100 grams of sugar in a whole bag of Skittles, maybe 200, whatever, right? The whole thing's sugar. Just smoke that like it was going out of fashion, no problem, down the hatch. Now, if I ate even more than maybe 20 or 30 grams of sugar in a serving, you experience some side effects, some consequences, because it gets in, because your intestine has been partially bypassed, it gets into your system super quick, hits you like a freight train, cold sweats, feeling nauseous. Apparently, they call it dumping. I've never had a proper episode of it because I've, was a good boy and followed the doctor's instructions and hasn't really pushed the boundaries in that way.
Yeah.
But it can be pretty. People who do it only do it once, and then they learn. And we're talking like you can shit yourself and
really,
yeah, that's right. If you were to make a mockery of the doctor's orders and just decided to run your own spec, and you were just down in half a litre of ice cream, you would know about it.
Gee.
Yep. So and that was, like I said, I was staring down the barrel of my 40th year on the planet, and I kind of went, I've had a red hot crack more than once at doing this the old-fashioned way. And a lot of people, there are people who know me that know about this. There are also people who know me who do not know about this but may have had their suspicions. I have not spoken to everyone about it.
It's completely up to you whether we include any of this.
I had kind of made my mind up that this might be a good forum to talk about this sort of thing, because we're here to discourse me. But so I made the decision to go ahead and do that because I thought to myself, what's going to happen? I'm going to tell myself I can do it the old-fashioned way. But what if I'm now staring down the barrel of my 50th birthday and I'm still overweight, except now I'm at higher risk of all of the health complications that come with being obese, right? Heart attack, heart disease, whatever, right? So you make this one enormous decision now that influences the rest of your life, and it just takes away hundreds of thousands of other small decisions down the track.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be there are people who think that it's like taking the easy way out or cheating or whatever. But when you've lived with it, it's a really difficult thing to do. Deciding to go ahead and have the surgery is the easy bit. Then you come out the other side of it and you go, the buyer's remorse, like, what have I done? I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. And now I'm like living a pretty normal life. When the occasion calls for it, I can still have a couple of jars, but I'd probably stop at a couple. Whereas old me would,
more than a couple.
Yeah. The old Biggie juices, 16 can cube of that stuff. Overeating, overindulging with no consequences, no immediate consequences anyway. Imagine if the consequences of what you put in your mouth were immediate, how quickly people would change their behaviour. But because it creeps on, and we don't see the internal damage, we continue to do, live in denial. And we just do it.
It's my favourite place at the moment.
So, that's been a huge part of that. And then, but just going down and getting sliced up and getting stitched up, that's not even 1% of the job. It's what you do after that, So going and getting the surgery is, essentially step one. But as soon as I was able to get back into training, I was back in the gym. And of course, now I'm eating a lot less and eating a lot more of the right kind of stuff and eating a lot less of the wrong kind of stuff. Especially early days, I was, eating virtually none of the wrong kind of stuff. And, it starts coming off. And then that's when the snowball of it sort of starts to build. You get that momentum.
Yeah.
And you start to see results not only in the scale, but in the mirror, in the clothes. You go clothes shopping now. I tend to do a bit more of my clothes shopping at op shops and stuff for a little while there because I can get a pair of good chinos for $2 instead, knowing that they're probably going to be too big for me in another 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And, your life starts to change. Your whole life.
Does it become addictive? Is it good addictive?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be addicted to something, getting your body in shape is probably one of the better things to do, right? And, I mean, body dysmorphia is super real. I look at photos that I've posted on my Instagram of old me where I thought I was starting to look okay. and I look at it and go, fuck, you know, and then I look at myself in the mirror now and I still see the overweight, you know, huge gut, you know, all of that, the love handles, and, you know, there's some loose skin that I live with that, you know, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to get weight off. I mean, obviously for this thing, I'm trying to land in a certain weight category, but long term, I think I'd like to walk around at, you know, 90 kilos if I could. And, you know, I still, that's what you see in your mind's eye when you look in the mirror, and even though the reality is, you know, different. So when you get on social media and you post stuff that's, you know, the idea is, you know, oh, maybe I can inspire someone else, or, you know, I'm sharing my story, or you're just sort of putting yourself out there to the world. But part of it is also, you know, to remind yourself to feel good about what you've achieved, you know, and to motivate yourself to keep going, because it's way too easy to just go, oh, you know, I look all right in a t-shirt, you know, or I look okay when I'm wearing a hoodie or whatever, you know, walk around skinny fat, and that's that. But I actually want to go so beyond this, in terms of this whole process being a stepping stone for me, in that I never would have done anything like this before. I never would have gone and, you know, played an extra in a movie, or gone on a TV show, or some of the things I'm doing now. I never would have done them. I did a little bit of spent a little bit of time in the studio doing some stuff for a community radio station.
I did find that.
But when you can hide behind the microphone and it's not being recorded on camera, all you have to worry about is your voice, your character, and that's it. You can sort of that whole, you know, you've got a head for radio, you know, you can really leverage off that. I get to sort of be whoever I want on the mic, and people don't have to worry about what I look like. And yeah, but now the confidence that you get from you know, feeling more comfortable in your body, starting to look and feel better, you know, other possibilities start opening up, and then I sort of go, oh, what's next? What's after this? Could I actually ever get myself in the kind of shape where I get lean enough to go and do like a bodybuilding show or something like that, like an amateur natural bodybuilding show? Even some of them have these like transformation categories. So, you know, my body's a little bit odd now. There's still like lumps and bumps in places where there shouldn't be, because, like I said, the skin and there's still some things going on there. But you know, there's surgeries you can have for that as well. Albeit they're very expensive. But yeah, I feel like there's always, I want to be pushing, doing the next challenge. You know, the next most challenging thing. And going through this process, I'm going to come out the other side of this feeling so accomplished that not only will I be looking for the next thing, but I'll be sort of champing at the bit for it. I'll be, you know, I'll feel, I suppose, like I need something else. You know, I need the next thing that makes me uncomfortable.
And that you don't think that would have been you 5 years ago?
No, not even close.
Something you did mention there, how you see yourself differently. Like when you look at photos of today, you may see the old person. I think we see faults in ourselves that no one else sees.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think social media, as good as social media is and as interesting it is, it can also be the most toxic place that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It can be so bad. And these poor kids coming through, they got no idea. I know a lot of guys and girls, I'm going to say girls, and they look a certain way on social media, and I know these people. They do not look like that in person. I think they look better in person, but they look different because they actually look like a person. The stuff they post, these clowns, what are they doing?
It's like you're an avatar of yourself rather than it actually being yourself. And then the next step is, well, you know, I'm just going to go and, you know, live in an online game and build my character to look how I want them to look, and that's going to be me. And like, there are people that are 100% doing that right now. And where are we going to be in another 20 years with virtual reality and all of the stuff, where you could probably just slip off the face of the earth, you know, sitting in a room and be living a life online.
That's what's going to happen, isn't it? It's coming.
That's right. So
That's
in terms
scary.
of like how people perceive us and how we present ourselves, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what's going on in social media is probably nothing compared to just design your own body and pretend to be that instead.
Social media is probably just a stepping stone to what's coming next.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary. I thought when you did actually send me back some info, the one thing I got to say, this has got to do with the weight loss. When I was talking about topics that you want to include, your first one, the first topic is usually what people like focus on, and you wrote back smoking meats.
100%.
Tell me one thing. What is a brisket? Tell me that.
So the brisket is the pectoral muscle of the cow.
Oh, okay, so it's not a way you cook it; it's an actual.
No, the brisket's just the cut of meat. It's a secondary cut. It's if you tried to cook it like a steak, you'd be, you could knock a nail in with it. It's just a really rubbish secondary cut of meat. But when you treat it right, which is why the smoking, that one there on the bottom right,
There,
that's actually just a point end of a brisket. But
very fatty, is it?
that is the fattier end,
Yep.
and if you render that out nicely, it is meat jelly, mate. It is just God's gift.
How do you go? Because obviously you have got a massive passion for maybe a beverage or two, not Summersby cider. What cider?
No,
Strongbow.
I haven't had a cider in years, mate. I'm a beer man. Beer and the occasional drop of whiskey, some brown liquor of some description.
How do you go? Obviously, you love your food and you love to have a beer as well, which there's no drama with. How do you go keeping those portion sizes down that low? Because I know now if I go somewhere and they've got some nice food like a hamburger or something, I'll always eat two and I'll always regret it.
Yeah, 100%.
How do you go keeping it down?
Well, I'm not really given a choice because I can only eat what I can eat. My stomach's now a percentage of what it used to be. So eat more slowly, chew your food better, which you probably should do anyway.
No, I eat like a duck, mate. Right. I just straight down there until I choke on it.
And then recognise. I've developed a technique where I'm able to recognise 3 or 4 mouthfuls ahead of time what I'm going to feel like in 3 or 4 mouthfuls time. If that
really?
makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
You know that old thing about you don't know that you're full, until 20 minutes after you've eaten or something like that.
Got to eat slow or something? Is that how it is?
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
So I could be eating, let's say I'm eating a sandwich, right? Get the sandwich down my neck, half of it, and I can feel, I'm still hungry now, like I could start eating the other half of that sandwich. But I'm not going to. Because in 5 minutes' time, I'm going to regret it because I'm going to feel just like it's up here.
Okay.
So that's a technique that you just develop through living with it. And, when we go out and eat, I'll order an entree. Oh, yeah, I'm not that hungry tonight, guys.
Do you eat more than 3 times a day?
Yeah. And ask anyone. I never stop eating.
Just graze the whole day?
Pretty much. So number of times per day, if you were including something as simple as a nut bar as a snack or a Chobani yogurt, if that was a meal or an example of eating, 7 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you find the time to do that?
I don't really take lunch breaks at work, so I'm always just eating at my desk.
Eating while you're going.
Yeah.
Well, mate, you've done, and don't ever, just my opinion, people that do have surgery, I know there might be, for some, a bit of a stigma attached to it, saying, not it's the easy way, but it's a different way. I don't think you should ever feel like that. I know a couple of people, a fighter from a couple of PCRs ago, she had the same thing, and she looks incredible with the progress she made, and I think you've made more progress than what I saw from her. So definitely you should never feel embarrassed about doing that. If that works for you, it's there for a reason.
It's a lever that you can pull, right? When the alternative is to continue to struggle and potentially, like I said, be 10 years further along and, that 10 years will go just like that. And then you're going, I'm 49 now and look, I'm still 140 kilos, except
it's harder to drop at 50.
It's harder to drop it. Moving is harder. The things you need to do to get the weight off, other than just stop stuffing your face, if you want to be active and all that sort of stuff and looking after your body, strongly feel that there is a point of no return, or point of some return, but there is definitely a drop-off point where you go, it's really, really hard to go back the other way. When you age your body, biological age your body, of your body is, say, you know, you've got the bone, you know, the cartilage of a 70-year-old, you know, and you're trying to live like a 40-year-old and you're walking around with that kind of mass on you. Yeah, so, yeah, I live by it. And there is always that little thing in the back of your mind that there's a stigma there, or someone's going to judge you for it. But at the end of the day, use the tools that are at your disposal. You know, if you look at all of the other things that we're doing with modern medical science, you know, imagine shaming somebody because they had to have a cesarean section to give birth to their child because they couldn't do it the natural way, for example. I mean, we'd never dream of it, you know. So there are things that we can do now that we couldn't do 20 years ago, and there are, you know, we are using things like, you know, fertility clinics and IVF to have kids, and someone might say if you can't have them naturally, don't have them, you know.
Crazy people say that, mate.
You know, so
yeah, I do know what you mean.
You know, there are a few aspects of my life that have required significant medical intervention, and, you know, I'm all the better for it. So, like I said, onwards and upwards from here. You're only here once, so why not make the most of it? And yeah, it's kind of, it's not part of who I am. It doesn't define me. I don't, you know, it's not my identity. Most people, again, now the way that I'm able to live my life, most people would never know. So,
someone once said to me, and this isn't, I'm just repeating what they said. I'm not actually calling someone fat, but he said to me, he goes, "You don't see any old fat people." And I went, "Geez, you're damn right." And he said, "That's it. That's why you gotta," because we're talking about weight and if we ever got overweight. But he said, "Just realise, yeah, you never see any." And I was thinking, I can't recall seeing any overweight old people.
They're pretty rare.
Yeah, because everyone seems to fall off the perch.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that the people that sort of aren't supportive of you, do you think there's some jealousy involved?
There could be. It's very difficult to know. People can be, you know, one way to your face and then be saying other things behind your back. I don't concern myself with that. I don't bother to speculate on it. No. Like I said, it's when it's your, I hate to use this, it's a cliche, but when it's your journey, you know, it's yours and yours alone, and it doesn't belong to anyone else. So you tell who you want, when you're comfortable in doing so. And then this was March 2021 when I went under the knife, and there are people in my personal life that I have not, at least deliberately, disclosed this to.
Okay.
You know, and those people may very well watch and listen to this, and now they'll know.
I feel honoured, mate,
you know?
that you chose.
And I don't want those people to think that I didn't tell them because of necessarily because of, you know, some ill feeling towards them, or I don't trust them with the information or whatever. It's just when the time felt right, I bring it up. There's a small group of people around me that knew straight away, you know, and there's a few others outside of that knew a little bit later on. But, yeah, you just kind of, you're already living it, and, you know, you don't want that decision to be the big thing that everybody focuses on.
Yeah.
You know, you also don't want to be receiving, you know, compliments from people that, you know, "Oh, you're looking fantastic, you're doing really well," under false pretenses, because those people might be like, "You're looking fantastic, you're really doing really well, congratulations on all the hard work," and then they find out, "Oh, you had weight loss surgery. Oh, is that all?" You know?
But it's not just the surgery. You can't just have the surgery and then there's work. There's got to be follow-up work involved.
Well, it's not a light switch. You don't drive in there and drive out skinny.
You've got to still put in the work afterwards.
Yeah, although I did have an idea for a business where, like...
Tell me this idea, mate.
So maybe it's probably only really accessible to the rich and the famous.
Okay, we're just going to slap a copyright on this idea, okay?
All right.
Timestamp.
This idea belongs to James Alexander Wells and nobody else.
And Brad
so it's
O'Day.
a clinic, right? Brad O'Day, of course. So you go into this clinic, all right? I don't know if you've seen the movie... which one is it? It might have been... It's one of the space movies. I think it might have been Interstellar, or it might actually have been Gravity.
I haven't seen Star Wars, mate.
Okay.
So I know, no.
Yeah. There's these hibernation chambers, right, where Matt Damon's character's in like some gel
Okay.
That is keeping him on ice but alive, so that he can, his body doesn't use as much energy, so he can hibernate on this moon or this planet or whatever for months and months and months until the next crew rock up. And I was like, what if you went to a clinic where they just put you under, right? They park you up and they stimulate your muscles with TENS machines and feed your body vitamins and nutrients and minerals and all the perfect exact amount of the right stuff, so that just while you're there, you're getting jacked and you're losing weight, and then they bring you out of the coma and you look $1 million.
How long would you have to be in there for?
That'd be for the doctors to decide, but probably at least a few months, I would have thought. But you don't know about it. You just wake up, and for you, you've just gone out. Next thing you know, and you just wake up. Look at this.
It's probably happening.
Probably.
It's probably true. Well, there's people that they reckon they go under and then they can speak another language. They reckon there's things that they can teach people in their sleep. Imagine that.
I mean, there's stuff in your mind that you don't know is there as well, right? There's stuff you pick up and absorb but don't.
We knew the Ding-a-ling song. Yeah, maybe. Nothing would surprise me now. Nothing would with what they can do with technology and science and everything.
It's coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, wasn't there that movie, what's it called, The Island or something, where they pretty much made a clone of someone and then they put them, I don't know, over somewhere, and whenever you needed a new organ, you harvested your own organ.
Yes.
Tell me that's not happening.
Oh, yeah.
Start some conspiracy theories here.
100%. But what's really weird about that film is when it came out, the organ harvesting aside, there were an enormous number of things about that film that were eerily similar to a stage play that a theatre group I was part of and I wrote and produced and performed called The Rat Race, where in this futuristic society, everybody's living in these, controlled communities. And, of course, it's like every futuristic film, everyone's wearing the same thing.
Oh,
we just
cool.
decided on a
Silver.
uniform. Yeah, silver jumpsuit, V-stripe. But it was like that, and there were so many things. I think it came out a couple of years later, and I was like, holy...
Matt Damon saw it was Scarlett Johansson, saw your play and then have ripped it off.
Yeah, I highly doubt it, mate. At the, what was it, Civic Centre, in Wanneroo Civic Centre or something, I think we put it on for 3 nights only or something. I think we did it. But I went for about a week. But yeah, those were the days. Yeah, writing plays and acting on stage. And
so you're an actor. I couldn't find any of your acting videos. I did have a look.
No, I haven't done anything worth mentioning in my entire adult life. I would never have gone on stage or camera fat.
No? Just do your voiceovers?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's you gave up this one. I got to say, this isn't me.
I knew that I was probably going to need to be embarrassed anyway. I thought if I could have some control over the things that embarrassed me.
Is this your band? Were you in a band?
Yeah. So when I was 17, 18, a couple of mates of mine. One of them was an apprentice chef living down in Hamilton Hill, and he was about to turn 18, and they were musicians. He was a drummer. My other mate was a guitarist. They lived with another guy who was a guitarist who just started playing bass. And then let's play at my party. We'll just set up in the living room and we'll just rip through a bunch of easy to learn covers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
it's the dream.
We don't have a singer. And he goes, I'll get Wellesley to do it. He goes, Wellesley doesn't sing. He goes, yeah, I know, but he's done musical theatre and he's done plays and he knows how to get in front of a crowd, right?
Yeah.
We're doing Offspring covers. You don't have to be able to sing. You just have to be able to scream them out, right? Just yell them out. So they asked me, and I was like, all right. So we had a couple of jam sessions, and then we did the party, and it absolutely went off, and we all thought we were hooked.
Oh,
this is it. Now we're a band,
right?
So we started jamming probably minimum once a week when we could afford the $70 for a carpeted jam room down in O'Connor or in industrial area somewhere. We had the wagons with all the gear in it, or you borrow Dad's car. And we'd go out there and we would just go till 1, 2 in the morning, Chewett Hill Macca's on the way home for a cheeseburger. And that was us. And then we started doing some gigs, and before we knew it, we were like, let's enter us in this Battle of the Bands thing that one of the guys was doing through a tertiary because he was going to TAFE for his apprenticeship.
Yep.
And so we were in that, Gozzy Rock. And then we were at...
Gozzy Rock.
Yeah. And then we
That
did
was so good.
Battle of the Bands at the Grosvenor Back Room. So, you know, Gyroscope?
Yeah.
So Gyroscope were on before us. Just before us, I think, in that Battle of the Bands. So that was like the era, 1999.
How good was the music?
2000.
How good was that?
That's pretty much what I still listen to.
Me too. And you know what? So many people's walkout songs are from that era.
Yep.
That was so good.
Yeah,
I'll never get it back.
You know, and even like a couple of years prior to that, when like Jebediah were kicking off and there were bands around Perth like Beaver Loop, and you'd go to some random upstairs unplugged session at Dada's or 78.
78.
We were on it. We were on upstairs at 78.
Really?
So we got the hook because we were too loud. They're like, turn it down. So turn it down. I went, still too loud. Off you get.
That was great. I saw Paul Dempsey there from Something for Kate, and it was something else up there. That was so good, the music back then, wasn't it?
And you're basically a reflection of all your influences, right? So
I listened to Try Chewing Them.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen here. Reminded me a bit of Grinspoon.
yeah, Grinners were huge in our lives then. So Green Day, Grinspoon, Offspring, Blink, Spiderbait.
Blink 182, you going to that concert?
Yeah.
That is going to be sensational.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
That is going to be nuts.
Yeah.
That is so good. Did you
So-
see the ad for that?
I got the tickets to the Thursday show, which I think...
Because it's two shows.
Yeah, but I'm guessing the first sold-out one would have been the Friday night, and then they announced a second show, but that's on before.
Day before.
It's on the day before.
That is going to be something else.
Yeah, that's gonna
When
be
is
great.
that? That's like ages away, though,
Like
isn't it?
early 2024.
It's more 12 months away.
Yes, we've got a year and... Yeah, over a year to wait. But don't tell my dad that. He would never shell out for a ticket that far in advance. I bought tickets to go and see Jerry Seinfeld stand up at RAC Arena a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it must have been 8 months out that the tickets went on sale.
Yeah.
And he hates it. Dad's got some real like concepts, that he lives by, and the money's just going to sit in their account and they're going to make interest off it.
Oh, classic dad. Oh, so good. Yeah.
Sorry, Dad.
So I did actually go through some of this. Is you singing in this? It's a bit of Metallica in there as well.
That one there, I think, is actually a song that fellow bandmates wrote that I wasn't in. So
The band's called Wellesley.
no, the band's called In the Pocket.
Okay.
Right, Wellesley's just the name of that SoundCloud.
Oh, okay. I thought, geez, get the lead singer in and name it after him.
No, and I'm the first person to admit that I can't really sing, man. I don't have the register for some of that music. You try and duplicate like an Offspring track, you got to be so high up there. Unless you want to go into like your throat voice, your falsetto, you can't get up where Dexter gets up. And so we were doing some covers, and we made it work. Like Pete would jump on the mic and back up some of that higher register stuff, to take the pressure off of me because I couldn't quite hit it. And again, most of the time you're just having fun. You're loud. Everybody's jumping around. Usually they're about half a dozen Teds in or whatever. So
Oh, yeah. But with singers in bands, this was always what I believed, is that it doesn't... Is that rain? Geez, that's coming in, isn't it? Jeez. It doesn't... People go, I can't sing. I think the only time you come across like you can't sing is when you're trying to replicate someone.
yeah, you've got to have your own voice,
Yeah,
right?
because you think about it, right? If you got the best singer, who's the best female singer in the world? Say Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, someone like that, right? If you got them... So theoretically, they should be able to sing every song and it sounds the best because that's their voice. But it's not.
No.
And there's a lot of people that can't sing very well, but their voices are so suited to that music.
Yep.
It sounds brilliant. I think if you're not trying to be someone else, you're trying to be your own, have your own voice for your own music.
Yeah.
So I don't think ever talk yourself down saying you can't sing.
Well, every now and then I'm singing along in the car and I hit a note and I go, yeah.
Still got it, ladies. Window down.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, that stuff was just fun. You know what I mean? And we did a lot of private parties as well. That was the year we were all turning 18. And I went to school in an area where there were like a lot of two-story houses
Where'd you go?
around St. Mark's.
Where's that?
Next to Whitford's shopping centre,
Oh,
between
north,
Whitford's
yeah.
and the beach.
You went to O'Connor to jam.
Yeah, I was living in Yokine at the time.
Oh,
but it was
okay.
just about availability of the rooms. So
Yeah.
some of them, sometimes they were in Morley, sometimes they were in Wangara, sometimes they were in O'Connor.
Okay.
You know, it was whatever was like cheap and available, and you could lock up after yourself and spend as long as you wanted there. So yeah, we would do parties at these houses around Hillary's and stuff where people were being thrown these big 18ths, and it became like a bit of a thing. Like James's band will come and play all night for beer.
Oh,
You know?
the currency
right.
of gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we did the Grosvenor, we did Mojo's, a couple other like venue gigs around Perth and stuff. Or there was one where it was like, we headlined this night, you know. They're basically like, yeah, you guys are on, but you've got to find your own, like, bring in other bands
Okay.
to come on
Yeah.
before, and we'll be like, yeah, that'd be easy. So we managed to drag something together, but we were basically playing to our girlfriends and the bar staff. You know?
That's still good though.
Yeah.
That's when you could really try. You can go absolutely nuts. Just try your own thing.
Yep.
What is like the desire to play music and be in bands and do so? Why does it seem to die for 99% of people at about the age 30? It's such a shame. You look at bands as well.
Yep.
How rare is it to see a band? Because suddenly you're these old guys.
Yeah.
And is there anything sadder? I mean, it's if they can keep producing the music, good on them. But when I go back and I have a look at some of the bands I used to listen to, and I have a look at the lead singers now, it's just heartbreaking to see them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you still see them as the same guys that were on stage at 22, 23.
That's right.
And now they're these old men.
Yeah.
They're like us.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like the promo stuff coming out for Blink now, you know, and
They're hanging on to those hairdos, aren't they?
Mark's got the quiff or whatever at the front, you know, that's sticking up, but it's grey now instead of instead of brown or whatever. But no, I mean, I think some people can do it. There's obviously the stalwarts like the Stones and
U2 and those
U2.
guys.
I mean, even like one of my favourite bands of all time, I listen to them so much. Tool.
Okay.
Those
Still
guys,
doing it?
Those guys are, and Danny the drummer is 62 now.
Still doing it.
Yeah, those guys are all late 50s, pushing 60 most of them. And like their latest album, it's 3 years old now, from 2019, is by and away one of the greatest works, you know.
Really?
And I saw them in concert the year after that, and the energy is still there, and they put on a phenomenal show. So
the crowds they get there are the right crowds as well, aren't they?
yeah,
Because they're no longer these people who want to get drunk prior and just go nuts. They're there to really appreciate it.
It is a show that you can sit in a seat and watch it,
Yeah.
or be down on the floor
Getting into it.
Getting into it. if
Blowing a
you want.
knee and hurting your back. Imagine that.
Yeah, I've done both of those things.
I should go to a concert. You did voiceovers as well.
Yeah, so
Are we allowed to listen to any of these?
if you want, I think
I'm going to go Australian corporate. Let's listen to how professional you
that's
sound.
probably one of the worst ones.
Presentation on how to maximize your advertising return on investment with
That's it.
conversion
I think I just made up that script.
Tell me a good one here. Aussie bloke?
I'm probably going to hate them all, mate. So just play whatever.
best cuts of USDA choice and premium Angus beef.
Your voice is extremely different there. Like that's a believable voice. You ever hear someone like put on a bad accent?
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
that's good. Jody. If you see Jody, I know he's not on your team. Get him to do his Australian accent. It is
You mean when he was smashing some Swannies?
smash.
I actually thought that was great.
It caught me off
I thought
guard.
it was so good.
It was so funny. It just caught me off guard. He's a funny man.
Fuck, smash some
Yeah,
Swannies.
smashing Swannies, eh?
So I was doing some stuff for community radio station because I just wanted to get in. You talk about the creative fields. I find like Jody with the fashion stuff, right?
Yeah.
I look at industries like that and go, how do you even get in? It feels like it's going to be so insular. They're going to protect it from the inside. They don't want any new people coming in. And I felt like the attempts that I had at doing some voiceover stuff were a lot like that.
Yep.
And you've got to have an agent, you've got to do this, you've got to have a body of work already. They only want people with experience and all this sort of stuff. So you've got to run your own spec and go, right, I'm going to put a studio in my house and I'm going to start recording some of my own stuff. So I met up with the team from a community radio station that runs out of ECU at Joondalup.
Yep.
89.7, and said, hey, I'm interested in volunteering my services for your station in any capacity that you might need. Here's what I'm interested in doing. Here's what I'm good at. I'm all yours. And they've said, cool, we could use an extra artist on some of our CSAs, community service announcements, and sponsor announcements. You're not allowed to call them ads.
Oh, sorry, sponsor announcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, cool, no worries. And then before I knew it, I was basically being sent briefs. I was writing the copy and recording it, sending stuff through, getting it approved. They'd do the edit, then it would be on air within, a week. And my voice was all over that station. Like it was, they basically started calling it Jimmy Radio or something was the joke.
And this is all volunteer work?
This was all volunteer work, but
That's
at the
the
same
key.
time, it was access to the studio. I mean, when I was there, I was doing my stuff. And then if I felt like it, I could just record some of my own shit and take it away with me on a thumb drive or email it to myself. And that's where most of that stuff got done. Some of it got done at home with like a USB microphone and a couple of pillows and a cardboard box.
Yeah.
But some of the rest of it was recorded in, and I was interested in doing voice acting. So being able to maybe get on video games or cartoons, doing characters, whatever. So then I started working on like trying to do some impressions and all that sort of stuff. But the work that I was getting through the radio station was always just this natural reads, This Sunday, come down to Duncraig, public space. The Lions Club will be putting on a sausage sizzle or whatever.
Yeah.
And
but it's a start.
It is a start.
You get better very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I was getting home once or twice a week, having to have dinner and then say, sorry, love, we've got to go to the radio station, drive out to Joondalup from Ellenbrook, spend a couple of hours in there, drive home, getting into bed at midnight, 1 a.m, and then still trying to get up and do everything else that I was, doing, whether it was going to the gym in the morning and, making it to work at a reasonable hour, whatever. It just became it was more difficult than what I was getting out of it by the end, because I wasn't probably putting enough focus on the other areas of like, okay, now I'm going to start trying to get some work in other places and, maybe buy some equipment, set up a studio at home and do my own thing. So it's still an area of interest, but life has this really fantastic way of taking over, and sometimes those things fade into the shadows, and you know that at some point they'll probably resurface, but that's why I'm enjoying this so much.
2 hours we've been going.
No shit. Hey, is this a good opportunity for me to bring out the gift bag?
You didn't have to bring a gift bag, mate, but I'm not going to say no, but...
All right, so first off, you got some of the Oz Shut drip, mate. I know that you don't mind. I actually always thought that was a beanie you were wearing, but
I do wear
it's a headband.
Can I wear this now?
Absolutely, whack it on.
I'll wear this.
Probably should have brought this out earlier. Get the Oz Shut up then on the whole podcast.
I do like a beanie.
And and a hat for you as well, there, mate. Now, as good as the Oz Shut beanie is, the next thing I'm about to drag out might have you ripping that off and deciding to put this on instead.
How good do I look, though, in this beanie?
It's sharp.
How's the drip?
The black, the orange, the grey.
Jody would be going, Brad, you're on point.
On point?
I'm fine, because I'll be in the next, Social Australian Fashion event. Yeah.
With the suit.
And the hat. Thank you very much, Ozshut, for this hat.
You're going to have to unravel that and see what it really is.
I don't know what it is, but I like the feel. Oh, my God. Where on earth did you get the Hulkamania
Bandana.
Where did you get that?
I dressed up as Hulk Hogan for my 40th birthday party last year, so I bought a whole Hulkster costume.
That's awesome. Is this for me?
Yeah.
Mate,
I'm never going to wear it again.
Oh, should I go Hulkamania or should I go Ozshut?
Oh, jeez. I reckon you've got to at least try it on for size and then maybe go back to the Ozshut. Give the viewers a look at you in it. There's a picture of me on my Instagram on the night. I'm holding a ginormous bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah. How's that?
There you go.
Where's it?
State of the art. That's it.
Ah. I'm trying to look at the reflection. I might have to. I'll switch it up when we start getting into the PCR stuff. I'll switch it up for the Hulkamania.
What you gonna do, brother?
I almost went Macho Man then.
Yeah, it was a little bit much, wasn't it?
Thank you, mate.
Now,
that's awesome.
There's something else, and I reckon you probably.
I'm going to OD here, mate.
I'm going to say probably, and I know this because I've just heard about a couple of people you've had on. You've had some pretty good wrestling chats, right? Now I was like a '90s wrestling guy, hands down. Had the figurines, everything. Right?
Yeah.
Couldn't get into it after about probably 1996.
That's when you finished?
I reckon I was.
What do you reckon, WrestleMania what? I went up to about WrestleMania 7, and that's when it got too much for me. I couldn't work out what was going on.
Yeah, I reckon it's probably around about there. I remember getting the videos from the video store. You'd go and rent a Royal Rumble or something.
Oh, yeah, Survivor
VHS,
Series.
Whatever.
Yeah.
This you're probably not going to wear, and I say probably, but in the privacy of your own home,
I'll wear
anything
it.
is possible,
Trust me.
right? So I did see that you had some stuff in here, and you never know. There's some way you might find a way to use this as a studio prop at some point.
So this could actually go on the table. These are Hulk Hogan boots.
Your very own Hulk Hogan wrestling boots.
Mate. Where would you find...
You can buy anything online, Brad.
You know I'm going to wear these. They are awesome.
Just those and a belt.
I should. I got the
and
belt.
A bandana.
I am definitely because we went to a Halloween do, and I said to my wife, I said I'm going to go as Macho Man Randy Savage, and you go as Miss Elizabeth. She's having none of it.
Nah.
These look awesome. Oh my god, they look quite comfy.
They're
as well,
actually more comfortable than you think.
Really? I might have to try one on.
They zip up the side too, so you don't have to undo the laces.
What size are you?
12. Oh, US 12, so I'm Australian 11. Or UK 11.
I think I'm a 10. So this is going to.
You'll be right. Just wear thick socks.
My missus is going to hate that.
That's a bit kinky. The zipping up the long boot.
Can you see these on the camera? I can't. On that camera up there.
Oh yes.
My hammies. Look at that.
So good.
They're quite comfy.
Yeah, I
couldn't
I'd
wrestle
spend the whole
them.
night in them, mate. I danced in them.
I'm looking to go to. Do you get into any of the Perth wrestling?
No.
There's one called EPW, Explosive Professional Wrestling, and one of the guys that does the UFC show here with us, his cousin is the current title holder, Julian. Julian the Outlaw Ward, who I'm going to call out in the ring actually, and we could do that. I've got a.
You weren't getting the shirt. I've got the singlet. I still wear it to the gym sometimes.
What, the Hulkamania shirt?
Yeah, yellow. It's just a yellow singlet with Hulkamania across it.
Oh, it's so good.
That might be on Instagram as well.
I've got the old rubber figures, from the 80s
Yep.
that are just rock hard.
Yes.
And then you have a blue with your brother and you ditch one. It's like...
They remind me of the... you remember Stretch Armstrong?
Stand by.
I had the plastic. So I had Jake the Snake, Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude, Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Oh, Brutus. What's this in? These ones?
I had these plastic guys, and I had the blue plastic when it was WWF.
Yeah,
I had the ring. I had the ring,
and my brother stood in the middle of it once and broke it. I'll never forgive him.
I sold mine at a garage sale, mate. The elastic had gone all...
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. We could probably 3D print one.
Do it.
We should.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So good.
You might have to print all the turnbuckles and that individually.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. Like with this UFC one, I get way too carried away. See how you can print like the pieces and then you put them all together?
Yep.
I get carried away with that stuff. Oh, these boots are... These would be hard to come by. You're never going to wear them again.
I don't see how.
I do. I should wear these on the night.
Box in them. Show up on the night. Boxing in them.
They are something else, aren't they? They are really Hulkamania yellows.
Big time. You can buy them in just about any colour, but of course...
There's only one colour. There's only one Hulkamania yellow.
Yeah, but they're rest of the costume that I bought came with a wig, right?
I've always got that hairline going
Came
on.
with a moustache, but the wig is a full head of hair, but they figure you're wearing the bandana anyway, right?
Oh,
So
yeah, that's fair.
they don't give you the baldness.
Yeah.
So it's like a blonde wig, bandana, stick on handlebar moustache.
Tash, yeah.
The yellow singlet.
Yeah.
Then you got like some long red tights, I guess,
Oh, yeah.
essentially. And then the boots come up to your knee anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then you have like a red belt.
I would have. Oh, there we go. I would have personally. I would have fully committed and just gone the yellow jocks.
I was in no way any kind of shape walking around in yellow jocks.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's awesome, mate. Macho Man, he just dressed with. He's just got more flair than anyone else, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Remember the tassels, the cowboy hat.
I was an Ultimate Warrior guy.
Yeah, I didn't mind him. I'm just trying to think. I was Jake the Snake. Now he did like a tour, like a world tour, like speaking just recently.
Yep.
I think he went through some dramas, but the Ultimate Warrior, because the Ultimate Warrior took Hogan's belt at WrestleMania 6 from memory. I think that was sort of when it ended for me.
Yep.
Remember some of his battles with Ravishing Rick Rude at SummerSlam '89. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
The face paint was off after.
Oh, he was so jacked.
I was wondering what someone would do if one of the boxers just did like a wrestling style entrance instead of like a boxer's walkout, like just run down the ramp
And just start shaking the ropes.
and just slide under the rope, just dive on the ring, and slide up, and then get up and
start shaking the ropes.
Yeah.
That'd be so good. Oh, geez, I've just lost my train of thought. It's really bad. I think Troy. I did try to convince Troy. I've got one of the old, the Mexican. What are they called? Not Nacho Libre. You know that like Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Rey Mysterio mask. I thought you should go in there with a Rey Mysterio mask. How's that? I suppose it kind of defeats the purpose because it's a serious boxing match.
Yeah.
You've got a boxing match coming up. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, well, so,
That's why you came in
Yep.
2 hours and 15 minutes ago.
Good point.
Oh, that's so good.
There's one other thing.
Oh, mate, you've been way too generous. I better take this boot off.
Now this is merchandise from the business where I work.
Where do you
No,
work?
they
You
didn't
work at
sponsor.
West Trade?
They didn't sponsor me, so let's not give them a shout out.
Okay, sorry.
No, I work at West Track, but I work at a business unit of West Track that's branded as its own business, and we do a lot of special projects, and we're a support function for the rest of the organisation. So the idea is that you can bring in a machine that's at its end of its life, strip it for parts, rebuild the components, and then give the customer alternative to having to just buy new all the time. But we also do a lot of manufacturing. I said we're looking at... we do a lot of fabrication. We have like full-time design engineer and draftsperson who do amazing things, and we come up with heaps of cool designs for stands and transport options and specialised tooling to be able to install this giant thing on this giant machine safely and all that sort of stuff. So I'm in the sales side of that. So I get I've got the key to the merchandise. Mate.
Beautiful!
So that's a thermal FlexiParts thermal mug.
Oh,
for you.
Thanks, buddy. Can I open it?
It's the Batman spec, we call it. So we're trying to get them out there in the field. It's the stealth design.
I've got the Stretch Armstrong Batman version.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for before. So what are they? Geez, what is this made of? Very nice. Very
Pretty good, eh?
I'll have to give up my Kmart
Well, your
Father's Day present.
Coffee will stay hotter for longer.
So what's this made of?
I think in some part metal, some part plastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those double wall ones, so that it stays insulated.
If I have this with me, I need something that's going to dribble out here and go down the front of my shirt like all the other ones I've got. Oh, mate, that's great. So this is who you work for, Flex Parts Mining Services?
Yep.
Thank you very much, mate. You've been way too generous to me today.
No problem.
I've
Thanks
got the Oz shut one on. I'm just trying to get the reflection there. How's that look? That look all right?
Smart, mate.
I've got to get my hair cut one day soon. Have you got any injuries?
I'm a walking injury, mate.
Okay.
So I went in with a shoulder, like something just from the gym, just like a tendon thing that I manage. It seems to jump from shoulder to shoulder for whatever reason, probably technique. or not warming up properly. Then I did get body sparring. I took a really innocuous shot to the chest, but it just seemed to do something in that cartilage between the breastplate and the rib bone. Costochondritis, apparently it's called. And it's just like an inflammation. Maybe it's sitting not quite lined up properly, and there's really nothing you can do for it other than manage the pain and discomfort and inflammation. And there's some stretching, evidently, that you can do as well that kind of helps to like open up your chest. And anything that you do that's good for your back posture is good for that area as well. So I just managed that out, and now that's more or less pain-free.
Has Michael got anything?
Well, Mick had the knee.
Yeah.
And I heard Nigel say something about a shoulder in the in Krabby's chat.
Don't listen. Do not listen to anything those f***ers say.
However, I'm not paying attention because what has to happen is that I have to show up on the night prepared to fight a fully fit opponent that is capable of beating me in a boxing match.
I think everyone is going to be fine, and there is every year there is rumours and lies made up by those two fucking coaches to cause problems.
Yeah.
Ignore it. Just trust me.
No,
ignore what
I'm
they
not worried
say.
about it. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, where Michael had to basically not box for a couple of weeks or a few weeks and was just coming in to try and get cardio in on the bike, I wouldn't have believed. You know, the knee injury, you know, was very real. But at the end of the day, I'm not making any concessions for that. I'm not factoring it into anything that I'm doing.
You're not throwing leg kicks?
It's not sweep the leg.
Should do.
Sensei Kreese has told me to sweep the leg
There's some
beforehand.
even matches. Oh, this one here?
No, mate, that's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Oh, God. Which round?
How early do I want to be out? Yeah, this is one of the things about the way that stuff happens in my mind, though. I have this really tremendous habit of imagining scenarios that haven't happened yet and playing them over on repeat with slight variations each time. Like, it's an anxiety thing. So I've fought that fight in my head on a couple of occasions. Sometimes I stop him in the first. Sometimes, you know, we're going to points and I lose it. You know, just I think I need to find ways to cope with anxieties around certain things, so I tend to like just overthink it. But again, I have to assume that Mick's coming in fully fit, ready to fight, fully capable, well matched, and able to do the job. And so one thing that is 100% certain is that once I'm inside those ropes, people are going to see something that they've not seen yet. Not even the coaches.
Really?
Yeah.
You got something special.
Well, I only say that because I know myself and I know that the way that I've been approaching training. There's maybe one inanimate object in Anarchy Gym that could tell you what it feels like to be hit by me, and it's a bag. Everyone else, you're sparring to make each other better. You're not hitting people with full shots. So in terms of like you talk about not folding, lifting, the mongrel, grit, all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's some shit that I'm probably that I'm deep down in there that I'm probably going to harness on the evening to get through that. And you can't bring it out any other time.
No,
it's not appropriate to bring it out any other time. So I've opened that Pandora's box on fight night.
just keep it on hold, mate, and release it at about 6:30 on less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Now, whether or not that's good enough is a completely different conversation, but I have to go in there believing that I can stop him, not just win it on points.
It's going to be. It is so evenly matched after going through those fights with you. Yeah. Any fight can go any way. That's how it is a lot of the time. Exciting thing.
And I know you were discussing with the Black Hammer that it's a deadlock at the moment. You know, in total fights.
Oh yeah,
39 apiece with 3 draws or something.
I think it's something like that. But yeah, it's even.
So this is going to really tilt it one way or the other.
I get very competitive.
Unless we go 6 apiece with 1 draw and then we're screwed again.
it's you see your teammates lift for you. That is the one thing that I have noticed. Even though everyone is very supportive of each other over those first, say, 4 weeks, you'll see it now when you do split off into your teams and you listen to your teammates get behind you during the fight because they all want to see you win. And that's got no ill feeling or hatred towards your opponent at all. But it does get competitive.
Yeah, and it's another really unusual dynamic that I'm having to adjust to, that you arrive at the gym just before 9:45 on a Saturday morning. The Reds are just coming out of their session and we're just going into ours.
Bit trash talk?
A little bit of trash talk, you know. Sometimes you feel like, oh, is there some hostility there? And then there's other people where you're just like, hey, mate, yeah, you're going, like, everything's cool. And I think that's good for the competition because you've got to, you know, it's kind of like a Eagles player being mates with a Dockers player and, you know, they hang out together. But then on game day, like, I'll bury you in the turf in a tackle if that's what I've got to do. Yeah. So the idea of fighting somebody that you like is one thing, but then the idea of, like, watching a bunch of other people that you also like fighting against your teammates and, you know, you're barracking for one side only. Yeah. That's, I think, feels a little bit unusual as well. But the main thing to me, I put a post up about, you know, I didn't know who my opponent was yet, and it was a photo of a couple of prior competitors hugging after their fight in the ring, and I just said, like, whoever I'm fighting, win, lose or draw, as long as, you know, we better be hugging like this afterwards, because I like the idea of, you know, sportsmanship.
Oh, yeah. At 11:30, mate, there is any issue that is just gone. At 11:30, when the last fight's finished, everyone comes together. The DJ comes on. Yep. Yeah, that is the beauty. I don't think there's anyone that's got an issue with anyone afterwards. Yeah. And you see the guys from, what was it, PCR 6, a lot of them were there at the last one. And there were guys from different teams, and they were getting on like a house on fire. There's absolutely no issue. Yeah,
but that artificial creating that team separation and sort of going, oh, yeah, we're going to train separately, which makes sense. That's fine. But almost like that sort of, there's an artificial wall that's there that it's like, well, you know, I've still got these people on Facebook and Instagram and still give them a fist bump on the way out of the gym when I see them in the morning, but we're meant to be like rivals and you know.
I think that's where the respect sort of and a bit of class comes in, because you can fight someone but still respect them.
Yep.
And I think that's what's going on. How have you gone with Glenn, getting you in the right frame of mind?
Yeah, good. I mean,
he says some things.
Thing about is that, you know, there's a lot of us there, and so it's each time that you're in the gym, you're not really, you know, it's like in a classroom that has 30 kids instead of a classroom that only has 15 kids. The amount of one-on-one time that you get now that we've gone into teams and there's half as many of us, you know, you get a little bit more of that. I've had a couple of private chats with him after sessions where I felt like I've, you know, struggled in an area or psychologically just been having some concerns, got touched up in sparring a couple of times and kind of went, oh, all my confidence is gone. I feel like I've been found out. I already live with imposter syndrome. I feel like any minute the fourth wall's going to come down and it's going to be the Truman Show, and I've been found out there's some big phony, you know. So everything I do in life is sort of shrouded by that sense of, you know, fake it till you make it. I'm putting this on. I'm not really as good as I think I am. All that sort of stuff. So a couple of times I came out of sparring and I pulled Glenn aside once and just said, this is the part where I need the $6 million man sports psychology services, not just the boxing coach. Yeah. And, and lo and behold, 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, well, yeah, actually, I'm feeling a lot better about that now, because he goes, oh, that might be how it felt to you in the ring, but take my word for it as someone watching from outside the ropes. He goes, the guy wasn't bothering you, you know. But it was early on, and it was when I was, like I said, not probably used to taking shots and stuff. So you get punched once and you think, oh, how did I manage to let that happen? I was holding my gloves up and I just wore one in the head, and it was well, it's not really the pain, it's the shock.
Yeah.
I got rattled, jarred my neck. That was really uncomfortable. What if someone was coming at you with one of those and then 3 or 4 straight after it,
Follow-ups, yeah.
working you into a corner and just putting you to sleep? That's the sort of stuff that goes through your mind. So I know some people compete in boxing or combat sports and they don't think like that, and they always think that they're better than the other guy and they're full of confidence and they're always going to win. But that's not how my mind works. So I think it's good because I never feel good enough. I always feel like I need to improve. And, I'm doing everything I can to, and I know it's 6 minutes, right? So whatever happens when we get outside, Mick and I are going to have a beer. We're going to have a ball of a night. We've got the whole night ahead of us. One of us will be wearing the belt, one won't. Whoever that is, I hope neither of us are disappointed with the outcome and that we feel accomplished having done this.
It's a lot. But you also got to remember, everyone has, when you mentioned there, you felt bad in the day in sparring. Everyone has off days. Everyone has days where they just think, I can't do a thing right. But that's where it's better to get those out of the way in training. That's where you make all your mistakes.
Yeah.
So
there's other times as well when you actually find out afterwards that you landed some really good shots that you didn't realise had connected so well. Like I said, the gloves are padded, the headgear's padded. If I go and punch this real brick wall here,
Michael, it's not real, I'm sorry.
I'm going to feel that on the bone.
Yeah.
Right? So I know exactly how much force is there. I can gauge that. But when there's like limbs going everywhere, especially early days when you're both inexperienced and sometimes it's a bit scrappy, and then someone will come up to you afterwards and go, oh, God, you really got me with that right. And I'll be like, which one? I didn't feel it.
Well, you just have to hit someone in that right spot at the right time, don't you? Because you've seen some soft punches put people down.
Yeah.
And other people get hit with an absolute bomb and are still standing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it, mate. It's still up. It's up to anyone to win this one. And they score it, it's 10-9 rounds, and if you go down, it's a 10-8 round.
Yeah, so you have to win. If you go down in the first, for example, you would have to win the other 2 rounds to even draw it.
You have to put in a 10-8 round.
Or you'd have to put in a 10-8 round and win the other one on points. Or just stop him. Or, get a stoppage and win it TKO.
I think there's only been, I think it is 3 draws. That's a very low percentage of draws in this kind of boxing. I thought so many fights, with the 10-9 scoring system, of course you can't have many draws unless there is an absolute dominant round or a knockdown. I'm surprised there isn't more, though. Like it would be nice for there to be more draws because some of these fighters you just cannot split. Like I'd hate to be a judge in some of these fights.
Yeah, and again, it's like there's 3 judges. They all sit in a different part of the ring. If I've got my back to you and you don't see, that uppercut that I landed and the other 2 do or don't, whatever. Like there's so much that can influence the outcome. Maybe if there was an even number of rounds, you'd see more draws, like 4-2s.
Oh, yeah. Jesus, we pretty much covered all the questions.
Turtle cards, bubblegum.
I was going to go back to that. This is stepping back. I'm not going to try to edit this in. I did mention, just before we get back on the beats, when you're saying about that nostalgia, I had Ninja Turtle cards, right? And I wasn't that young. I was about probably 15, which is too old to have turtle cards. Do you remember the bubble gum that used to come in the packs of cards?
It was the worst, wasn't it? Like a hard pink stick?
Horrible stuff. I was talking to my wife about this. I said, you remember that? She doesn't remember the bubble gum.
There was that powder on it.
It was so dry and it tasted like garbage.
Yep.
They don't do that anymore.
I don't think so, but I had the turtle cards.
Yeah?
Yeah. If I had 60 cents to spare in 1992.
Yeah. Turtle cards.
Turtle cards. I was eating that gum, no matter how rubbish it was. It would start hard, and then you get the flavour out of it. Then it would go hard again in your mouth,
and it would just break up. That was horrible. That stuff. Yeah. And your video games. You mentioned the video game. I got lent an old Nintendo, the first Nintendo. I played it, and I thought I can't wait to play Mario. It is garbage.
Did you play it on a giant TV? Because that makes it worse.
It is terrible.
Yep.
I know people all think, I'd love to go back. I love this game so much. But you go back and you play them and they're not as good as we thought.
No, I've got a Nintendo 64 that I bought off eBay with GoldenEye. So I'm going to like late-ish 90s now.
That was so advanced in the day.
Oh my God, that's actually Pierce Brosnan's face, kind of, if you had printed it on paper and then wrapped it around someone's head and then took a photo of that and printed that and then wrapped that around someone's head, that kind of looks like Pierce Brosnan.
GoldenEye was unbelievable.
Yeah, and we used to play 4 of us at my mate's place on a 34-centimetre television, multiplayer. So you had fucking screen that size, right? And we were all on chairs. As far as the
controller would go, yeah.
Hunched in, all trying to look at our little square on that screen. And it was the best days of my life.
How the hell did we used to play multiplayer on those size TVs? I did a split screen. That's about as much as I could do.
Oh, it was, just bit of pizza, 4 of us playing Nintendo 64. We had the Rumble packs. So
oh, geez, you were balling back in the day.
My son is 18 and he's gone through his like gaming phase. Still plays his occasional games with his mates and stuff. But yeah, he's had PlayStation 3 and then PlayStation 4. Don't think he's got a 5 yet. And I dragged out the N64 this time, and he asks, "What's this bit underneath where it looks like something plugs in on the controller?"
The Rumble pack.
Okay, that's for the Rumble pack. He goes, "What's a Rumble pack?" I said, "It's a thing you had to buy and plug into the controller to make it vibrate." And he fucking lost it. He couldn't believe that controllers just didn't always vibrate.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you remember the old box that you used to get for Nintendo that had like the 4-way thing and 2 buttons, and that was it?
Oh, yeah.
It's the first one.
The original 8-bit Nintendo.
Yeah.
It was like a grey.
Oh, so you had the first one with sort of the wings on it. That isn't that the one that had the Rumble pack?
So the N64 had like a sort of like a curved top.
Yep.
And the cartridge still went in the top.
Yep.
But then it had 4 controller plugs in the front.
Jeez, 4-player.
Yeah.
That's
4-player.
the stuff.
So you had your original 8-bit Nintendo.
Yeah.
Then you had the Super Nintendo, which was 32-bit, I guess. And I loved that one. We used to play Super Soccer and all sorts of stuff on that. I had Mortal Kombat on that one. But the N64, I never had one.
Okay.
I bought it later in life as a nostalgic adult.
Oh, okay.
With disposable income. I was like, I got to get myself one. Paid a premium for it on eBay, but it rocked up in good mint condition with
beautiful.
the game. Only came with GoldenEye. That's all I cared about. Anyone that tries to say that the Mario Kart games from the 64 were better than the original Super Mario Kart have got rocks in their head.
You reckon the original one was better?
I think it's probably a sentimental thing.
Yeah.
That was the one I first played and one that I played the most, and therefore to me it was the best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I still got an Xbox 360.
Oh, yeah.
That was sort of where I peaked, and I just play NBA Jam. That's all I do on there.
Yep.
On there just by myself, and I just sit there. It's in that box up there. I sit there and just play NBA Jam.
Yep.
It's the only game I like to play.
It's unreal.
And it's still good, but I'm just used to the graphics. But you have a look at now how much better the graphics are.
I was mad for that game in the arcade. Actually, there was a little arcade section in the corner of Fairlane's Craigie Bowling Alley where I used to go and bowl 10 pin.
4-player?
4-player.
Yep.
And, we were mad for it. And it always bothered us that Jordan wasn't in the Bulls.
Oh, do you know why?
But there was a cheat code, I think, that you could unlock Jordan or something.
No, it's got something to do with sponsorship. I did read a story about it where he wasn't getting paid a certain amount of royalties or something, or had something to do with one of his sponsors wanting, they've got the rights to everything. I think it might have been Nike actually.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I couldn't do it.
All the Jumpman stuff, the Air Jordan, that's almost like a brand unto itself now, right?
And I was reading about one of the guys that actually designed NBA Jam, and he was a Pistons fan, right? And he hated the Bulls. And do you remember when the Bulls used to come back at the end and always knock the Pistons? For a few years there, they'd knock the Pistons out almost with a last-second shot. They did it repeatedly. He's put this code in there, and he only admitted this the other year. He's put this code in there. If the Bulls and Pistons are playing and it's so good, and it's close. Like coming into the last 30 seconds, the Bulls cannot score.
They can't make any of their shots.
No, can't go for a jam, and no one on it. Miss a jam. How good is that?
I don't know if I've heard of something more petty and conniving.
Oh, it's so good.
But it's fantastic.
And Scottie Pippen, you could not get the ball off Pippen.
No.
Pippen's handling. No, you could go up there and still couldn't get the ball off him.
I used to love it.
I'm just Boston the whole time. Bird, top of the key, 3. Just keep throwing them exactly the same spot. To cheat, I don't care. You can do like all the presidents. You can put in a code and you've got George Bush. No, like you got George Bush. Everyone playing. It's great. Anyhow.
Big heads? Do you have the giant head? Giant head code?
There is. I did print those off somewhere. I played in here by myself. I did play it with my son once. And you know how people go, you go easy because they're kids. I like to say no. I got to introduce my kids to the world of pain very early. So he was playing. I was just D'ing up on him so tight. Like, I was sticking to him like a spray tan, mate. And he couldn't get a shot off. Yeah, he didn't want to play after that. So it's just me. All right, let's get back to this PCR.
Hell yeah.
3 hours 10. Let's not break the record. The record's 4 hours.
We'll make a deal that we're not going to go to 4.
Okay, thank God, because I've just at the time I got stuff to do today. I don't. Okay, where are we? The hardest part of the training. Feels weird about talking about PCR now after we've just gone on this tangent.
I would say if I had spoken to you a month ago, I would have said sparring.
Yeah,
like adjusting to that, not being used to getting punched. Doing back-to-back rounds, or where you do 1 in, 1 out, and somebody stays in the ring and does 2 on the trot, and feeling gassed, having difficulty, keeping your arms up, and getting boxed was the hardest. Then you get used to that, and what is actually the hardest now is the last 10 minutes after you already think you're done, and you've got to do more. And you said you were there the other day.
The bag sprints, yeah.
Yeah, the bag sprints is not even the worst. It's the part after the bag sprints where you do the hill sprint, or more so with Glenn and Chris, you're on an assault bike or the ski erg or pushing the sled, or something else that's basically a high intensity interval on off when you're already out on your feet.
Yeah.
And having the mind over matter part of that to continue to push is the most difficult, which ultimately is a mental thing rather than a physical thing, right? Because when you think you're done, you're not really done.
That's quite good though, because if the hardest part is something that you can, is physical exhaustion. I mean, that's got to be better than the hardest part being. I know some people didn't like the sparring part of it, and the hardest people had one thing in particular. But if it's just the mental thing, then I don't know. You've got to feel confident that even though there's less than 2 weeks to go, you can still make improvements in that 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
with the adrenaline pumping on the night as well, it's only going to help you lift.
Yeah. I think that when you say hardest, obviously the most difficult, the most challenging is to feel like you're ready to quit and to have the gumption not to quit and to continue to do things that hurt and that make you uncomfortable and make you feel like you're so out of breath that you start to panic. That's you've pushed yourself then. And that's been the part that definitely has probably challenged me the most, is that I could probably get away with starting to take my wraps off now, and there's a couple of other people starting to slow down and do some stretching, or I can get back on that, I don't know what it's called, it's like a freewheel and curved treadmill that you do sprints and stuff on, and do another flat-out sprint.
So those 1%ers though, mate, that on the night, and you must have the endorphin rush afterwards must be addictive.
Yeah, I've always felt that with, the cliche is that no one's ever said that was a terrible workout, or I don't feel good about that workout. So, yeah, afterwards, and some days I'm not in great shape the rest of the day. Like I start to to crash, and sometimes they need an afternoon nap or whatever. But yeah, it's we're going somewhere that most of us have never gone before. That's the entire point. You know, that's why you sign up for this thing, is because you know, what they're selling is a once in a lifetime experience that you will remember for the rest of your life. It will probably change you as a person, and that you will be tremendously proud of, you know. So I said more about, you know, finding ways to challenge myself now and bite off more than you can chew and chew like fuck. It's
you got to be proud. Everyone's got to be proud.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the result is,
and proud of one another as well. You know, like it's you spend time with these people, and admittedly, you don't know everyone all that well. You get just enough bandwidth from them to say good day and have a quick chat sometimes before or after the session. You learn more about them watching YouTube videos of these interviews than you probably do in the time that you get to spend in the gym. And so sometimes you'll go back in and say, hey, I saw your podcast and I didn't realise that you know, had been dealing with that thing, or you know, that you had come from this background, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes people are a bit off guard because they might forget that once this is published, anyone can watch it.
They get a chance to take stuff out. I don't try to trick anyone.
But
you guys are bonded.
You put yourself out there in a variety of ways, and getting in the ring on the night is one of those ways. But yeah, you feel like you get to know people a little bit better watching these interview sessions, and that gives you a bit of context to them and why they're doing it, and it helps. I think it would help the teammates to feel proud of one another as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I don't think anyone's doing it for egos or personal glory. That's the beauty. I think that's why I enjoy sitting down with you guys, is because there doesn't seem to be the egos that you'd normally get with this kind of combat sport. Yeah, you know, everyone seems to be very respectful, and you guys are going to have a bond. It could be 10 years down the track, you run into them and you'll talk, and they could be your opponent, could be a different team member, but you'll always talk about how your group of guys were the best, were the toughest.
Yeah, that's right.
Nickname. Hang on, we did go through this before. The Juice. It has a juice. That's not going to be your song, is it? Walkout, is it?
No.
So how did you say you got the name The Juice?
I shortlisted a few. The first one was going to be the Glacier.
A slow-moving...
Big and slow, but you probably don't want to get hit by one. And then there's, you know, I had Orson from the cricket club nickname thing, and that's what's on my socials and stuff. But when you say that, it sounds like you're calling yourself awesome. And
I thought it was like horse, as in like, the big horse.
No.
As in like the horse.
It got shortened to that as well, so you'd be on from one end bowling leggies, and the captain's over it, you know, in the slips going, "Go on, big horse," you know, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And none of the opposition team never really understood why I was being called that or where it came from, but it was actually just Orson, as in Orson Welles. Yeah. So it didn't feel right for a boxing name. It's too many layers. It's too meta. There's too many layers of it to like have to explain what it means. Yeah. Whereas the Juice is like, it's punchy. There's a bit of alliteration there. It's actually, at the heart of it, it's like a beer-driven nickname.
You haven't evaded police in a Ford Bronco or anything, kind of juice.
No, I just like the juicy and the hazy beers, like you know, Feral Biggie juice, for example.
Feral Biggie.
About that. But then also I was like, but it's punchy as well. It's like the juice, the essence, the zest.
Oh, the juice.
He's bringing the juice, like bringing the good stuff. So I don't know, just kind of felt right. And then I tabled it, like I put it out for a few people to sort of vote on a couple that I had shortlisted, and that seemed to be the one that most people liked. I know it's not normally, it's unconventional to come up with your own nickname. Normally it's something you inherit.
That's all right.
But yeah, it was... of the ones that were, it was either that or Big Hazy, which was another beer driven.
Oh yeah, hazy beer. Yeah. I do like the Juice. The Juice is going to be very easy to commentate when you're fighting. I will just refer to you as the Juice. I will never again refer to you as James. It'll just be the Juice.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'll be singing. I think I've worn that button out, actually. Great. You walk out music, mate. Hit me.
Stinkfist by
Tool.
Tool.
How did I know? It's like I've got it up in front of me already. It's like we've discussed this and I've edited it out.
This one was decided long before I even got accepted.
What year did this come out in?
1996.
96. Oh, that was the day. All right, let's go. So straight from the drop. This is how music should be, mate.
That's what I
This
reckon.
is just angry pump-up music. Do you listen to this at the moment, or are you sort of holding it back there so you can get full effect on it on the night?
It is on my main Spotify playlist anyway, and it also
High
pops
rotation?
up. That playlist is on high rotation, but there'd have to be 1,000 songs on it, so it only comes up every so often. But I do also listen to just like the This Is Tool
Yeah.
sort of shuffled
Mega mix.
so it crops up on there as well. I reckon there wouldn't be a day that goes by I don't hear it once.
This song.
Yeah, sometimes I put it on just before I get to Anarchy.
Do you think about maybe depriving yourself of a Stinkfist for, say, 2 weeks just so it has that kick?
It's probably not a bad idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
If you do say so yourself.
I'm full of great ideas, full of something. You guys have come up with some good nicknames this year, by the way. I think that's what I would do. I'm not saying do it, but I know that if I ever did this, I couldn't listen to the song because I'll find a song that gets me pumped and then I'll milk it too much and it'll lose everything.
Yeah.
But this one here, this song itself is already, 30 years old? Almost 96 now. 24 years, 26 years old. I can't even do my
26
maths
years
at
old,
the
yeah.
moment.
It's a fun fact. 1996 was the same year I met my wife
Where'd you meet your wife?
at school.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, high school. And we went to Warwick 8 cinemas and saw Twister as our first date.
Twister.
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt, that's it. Do you know there's a warning? Intense depictions of bad weather.
Oh, no. Far out.
PG-13, because they reckon the movie's too scary. Oh, all right, let's get back in this. We've got to wrap this up.
All right.
So tell me what you're expecting to get out of this fine evening, which is only 14 days away, 13 days away, 12 days away. I can't count. What are you expecting to get out of this?
I think if I was to say that there was like the pointy end of the stick, the thing that I'm like shooting for is that moment where like everyone's in the ring at the end of the night, everyone's got their belts, and there's a big group photo, and it's like you're standing on Everest with all the rest of the team, you know? Like I want the whole night. Like, yeah, I've got my fight. That's like all told between walkouts and prezos afterwards, maybe like 20 minutes of my life. So I want the whole night to just be an enjoyable celebration of, you know, everybody's accomplishments and us having like reached this, you know, putting ourselves through this exercise, and then we got here, and now that's actually a big party, and all our friends and family are here, and, you know, have a rager.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Might be. I think that's it. You don't. I mean, you may get that. So in your late teens, when you know your footy team or something wins a premiership or something, but this for a lot of people may be the last time they ever get to really to feel that absolute.
yeah, just really tie one off. And
Yeah.
I suppose I can always reflect afterwards on, you know, a couple of weeks will go by and I'll have the belt up there in the theatre room with all my other sporting memorabilia, and I'll be able to remember, you know, that some more minor details about it. But ultimately, like, I want to make sure that, and it's really difficult to do, the whole thing doesn't just go by in a flash and then I go, oh, what was that? You know, we're staying at Crown, we're doing the whole thing. I'll be in the pool with the recovery party the next morning.
Shirt off. Shirt off, just flexing.
Don't know if they need to see that, mate. But still a bit too much put around the middle. No, look, I'm confident enough to get in the pool with my shirt off now. And going back to that old topic, there's something I never would have done before. So sure, why not? It's probably 10 blokes there with better rigs than me, but
Doesn't matter.
I don't care.
They don't have
boardies, beer in hand.
They won't have the strap.
They don't have the strap. Is that
Got the
waterproof, that thing?
We'll find out. Should wear the Hulk Hogan boots and the
holy
strap
just-
and nothing
and
else.
nothing else, and just walk out. But doing the billionaire's strut as well, just because you can.
Swinging those arms.
That's going to be so good. I'll actually be interesting to see what it's like cruising around, the venue afterwards, even in other parts of Crown, especially if you are, to quote the Hood Pope, carrying the strap.
Oh, he will be.
Will they let you in the casino with that thing?
Probably, of course. VIP straight to the champagne room. I don't know if they've got a champagne room.
It is a belt after all. I need it to hold my pants up.
The party, I suppose it is a pool party the next morning. That seems to be, I think, when it sinks in for a lot of people, and a lot of people do really just get a chance to take it all in.
Yeah.
So how do you think you're going to go with the come down afterwards?
I'm reasonably good at managing, the back end of elation, and staying calm. I'm mostly within myself a lot of the time anyway, so I guess I'll just process that internally, and I'll talk to my wife about it, and I think it'll be okay. I think when you've had a really positive experience, some people get that sort of the blues afterwards, because by contrast, what I'm experiencing now is just so ordinary compared to the high that I felt, that I actually go in the other direction of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, and start to feel like a sense of depression almost.
Yeah.
I don't tend to have that. I went on a ripper trip to the US a couple of years back for my mate's wedding, and we were in Seattle for a week, and we did a quick stop a couple of days in Vegas afterwards, and just had an absolute time of our lives. And immediately afterwards, and for every day afterwards, all I've ever done is thought back on that fondly. I haven't ever experienced any kind of feelings of sadness or been overcome with any kind of contrasting emotion that I've come down off of that now, this is garbage. So I think it'll be okay.
That's good, because that's only the one thing I guess I was concerned with the boxers, is how you're going to go with that. Because I know, think a lot of people will be able to handle it very well, but other people, there's going to be a big void, because this is all they're known. And the last crew, which had 9 months training, they're the ones that I was thinking, I don't know how they're going to go. But I think that's where they all got together and they all still chat.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be a lot of the people from last PCR at your event, because you get to experience it in a very different way. And I'm sure you'll be at PCR 10 and you'll be able to experience it that way as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably pretty hard to keep me away, because, again, being able to experience it from the other viewpoint. But there will definitely be a void. I'm already aware of that, because of how much of myself I'm putting into this, that I know that it is at the expense of other parts of my life.
Yeah.
And that as a result of that, those things are going to start keeping me busy again as soon as this is done. But at the moment, there's definitely some things being neglected that I can't give my full time and energy to, because of what I'm pouring into this, and the type of person that I am to be around when I'm knackered after training, or needing some sleep a lot earlier than I normally would, whatever. So I'm 100% cognizant of that, and I intend to make up for it afterwards, which should be enough to distract me from the come down.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Mate, that's about it. 3 hours, 32 minutes. Oh, it's been entertaining. It's been great. I've loved it. I've loved my Hulkamania boots, headband, my Flexi Parts mug. Geez, the gifts are flying. The old shut beanie, still got that on. Oz shut hat. Thank you very much, Oz shut. But, mate, I want to thank you very much for coming in today. It has been a pleasure. It's gone a lot longer than I thought, which I have absolutely no issue. I'm here happy to talk all day. But thanks for coming in, mate, and I wish you all the best for your November 5 opening bout of the GobSmacked PCR number 9.
Thanks, mate. Can I just say one more thing?
Mate, you can say it.
I'm in red hot trouble.
Yeah.
If I don't tell the red team,
here we go.
If they fuck around, they're going to find out.
What a great way to finish. Thanks, mate, and I look forward to seeing you on the night.
Yep.